Stand up, New York Giant fans.
Chris, long time no see.
Been about 6 minutes and a cup of coffee, but
Yeah, right.
excited to
right.
be back on with you with the chat. Obviously coming off a tie. I don't know, how fans reacted to that this week. It was weird. First tie, I think, since
97.
Washington, like 25 years ago.
90, yeah.
So we'll see. But, after the fact, the tie meant about as much as a win in terms of the playoffs. We accomplished what we needed to. I know ties suck. I know we all wanted to win. We don't like the way that game ended. We feel like we let that game get away. But we get an opportunity in 2 weeks to make up for it. But before that, we got the Eagles this week.
The hated Philadelphia Eagles. Their fan base is extremely arrogant. They're arrogant even when if they're 1-11, they'd be arrogant. So 11-1, got to give them their credit. They're good. I mean, I can't sit here and say they're not. I can't sit here and say Jalen Hurts sucks. He doesn't suck this year. He's been very good. Great wide receivers, good running game, one of the best offensive lines in the league. A really good secondary. If they have any weakness, it's you can run the ball on them. And if you're going to stop their offense, you're going to have to stop Jalen Hurts from running. That's really it. We have to run the ball, and we have to stop Hurts from running. If they want to hand the ball off to Miles Sanders and beat us that way, oh, well. You have to live with that. But that's what the Giants kind of – if the Eagles are going to run the ball, they're going to have to make them run it with the running backs. And it's easier said than done. Hopefully Wink can devise some kind of scheme to kind of collapse and keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket like he did with Lamar Jackson, and then we'll have a shot. But this is a very, very tough game. And the ironic thing about it is, Chris, this game really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
It definitely matters, but – like, here's what I'll say. If we win this game and lose to Washington, it doesn't mean a whole lot. If we lose this game and beat Washington, it means the world.
Right.
So it's like it helps us a bit because if you lose to Washington, then you still have the hope if you could beat the Colts and then beat the Eagles again, the last game of the season, if the rest of the starters, you'd probably get in the playoffs that way. I think because that would still get you to 10 wins. But at the end of the day, the game that is going to mean the season and a game that we're still going to pretty much have to win, even if we win this week. It's going to be the Washington game. And if we lose this week, you beat Washington, we're still probably going to the playoffs. That's what the season's going to boil down to. That's why the game was flexed. But regardless, you always get up for the Eagles.
Yeah, no question about it. But the tie, it's funny because actually tying knocked Washington out of the playoffs. So right now, because Seattle has a better record than them because of that tie. The tie really does help us more than it helped Washington. But
it was huge because now, because obviously we lost the Seattle heads up and we lost the Detroit heads up. So there was if we had tied with those teams before in terms of the standings, we weren't making the playoffs. Now with that tie, I mean, what's the chances that another team's going to tie this year? It's probably not going to happen. So with that tie, we no longer will lose to a tiebreaker to either one of those teams. That's why it was so important.
Yep, I agree. And it's just it's crazy to think. There's a couple games I felt like we let it get away this year. That was definitely one of them. And I don't want to say we let Dallas get. Dallas is better, but man, we had them in the first half and just a coaching staff. The play calling's been a little iffy. The execution's been a little iffy. Like things that we were doing when we were 7-2, we really haven't done in the last 3 weeks. And if we're going to be Philadelphia, we're going to have to get back to doing that. We can't make mistakes against them. You can make a mistake against Washington. Washington's very similar to us. You can make mistakes against the Texans. You can make mistakes against, other teams like that, Jacksonville, Chicago. But you can't do it against Philadelphia.
No, you got to play a flawless game if we have any chances.
Yeah, and it's not. It's like I said, that's a lot easier said than done. But we're still a playoff contender. I know the mood has kind of swung a little bit because we haven't won in a month. And again, I didn't expect to beat Dallas. The Detroit game was disheartening to me. Not just
that was the only letdown for me. That was the only letdown.
It wasn't just a loss. It was the loss of Adoree Jackson. Really took the wind out of my sails in that game.
Yeah. But the Dallas game, I didn't expect to win, even if we had it, Dory. This past week, I thought was a coin flip game that I slightly had towards us. But again, once you had 2 days to think it over, the tie was pretty much as good as a win. So we accomplished what we had to. we have a chance to rejoice as fans in 2 weeks if we could beat Washington. I mean,
Yeah.
that's our season right now. That's our postseason right now.
Yep. I completely agree. And my Giants, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says, we played like poo since a bye. Probably why I got mono. I hope you feel better. I didn't have mono, but I had some kind of affliction yesterday. Wasn't good, but so I got mono, the kissing disease. Got to lay off them girls, man. I give you that stuff. I've had it before myself. It's not fun. It's very exhausting, mono.
Hope you feel better, NY Giants.
Yes, mononucleosis, the long term. But yes, I hope you feel better. And hopefully the Giants didn't give you mono. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
JC, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says, better route runner and catch them, Barkley. Haven't really seen him have the opportunity. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, Brady's known to be a good pass catcher. We just haven't used him a whole lot.
Right.
I think Barkley's a good pass catcher too. He's had a lot of drops this year, though. It seems like he has at least, at least like maybe 3 or 4 drops this year. But yeah, I was excited to see both them utilized more in the pass game than we've seen this year. But again, I say it all the time. I think it goes back to our line that we can't use them to their full capabilities.
Yeah, I always love people like this. Says more Coca-Cola, Baddog, not. I'm sure you're a physical specimen. I'm sure you got to lift your stomach up in order to see your private parts. I probably haven't seen your feet in 10 years and worried about what I consume. Worry about yourself. You go a lot farther in life if you worry about yourself rather than worrying about what I do. Don't worry about what I do. Right? I'm way ahead of you as far as everything I do. I guarantee I'm way ahead of you. You got a cat as a picture. You're a pussy. That's all I got to say. It's obvious. Tutto, grazie, paisana, grazie. He says, massive salutes to Duo Kings and for all the Giants fans around the world. And we do get to do it this week, Tutto. Slap the stinky boys losers out of the front door. Forget about it.
Does that mean Tuto's going to the game? Oh, no, he goes to the game.
Goes to the link.
He goes to the link. That's right.
Tuto goes to the link. Yep.
That's right.
No doubt about it. Tuto goes to the link on that. So, but yeah, this game, like I said, this game will certainly not. I don't expect to win. I obviously hope we do because anytime we can beat Philadelphia, it's fantastic. But I don't expect. I mean, we have to play flawless, and we have to hope they have a bad game. If they were playing Dallas the week after us, I feel like maybe they'd have a little bit of a letdown, or they'd be looking forward to that Dallas game, but they don't have Dallas, so I don't know.
It's going to be hard. I mean, we all know that going in. I don't want to get super hyped for it because it's going to be a hard game. We knew that going in. And if we win, great. I just want them to put up a good fight and give themselves an opportunity to win it. That's my mindset going into the game. And it's kind of like how I think we all felt going into that Thanksgiving game. We knew it was going to be tough going up against the Cowboys on short rest. And I kind of feel that way right now, especially with all of our injuries. But you never know. It's a divisional game. Things happen. Nobody thought Washington was going to be Philadelphia, right? And they did. So
right, and we're exactly the same as Washington. I mean, that's what, especially when Washington was able to beat Philadelphia. Again, Philly turned the ball over 3 times in that game, but it made me believe, like, why can't we beat them? Because we play the same style of football, and we're very similar to Washington. And obviously, we're similar because we ended up in a 20-20 tie. You don't get any closer. When you looked at the halftime stats, they were almost identical. Yeah. These teams are so identical. The big difference is Washington has a number 1 receiver and we don't.
They have a number 2 receiver and we don't.
Well, that's true. They have a number
1 and a 2 receiver.
We don't have.
John Dodson is so much better than any receiver we have.
It's true. And it was obvious when he made that spin move and took off for a touchdown. I think it was Gilbert that missed the tackle, but just again missed tackles. Little things, man. Little things that we've done well most of the year. Just we have not done the last 3 weeks. So I don't know what the answer is, but
we'll see. We got to bounce back. Next time we play Washington.
We definitely got to bounce back. There's no question about it. Again, the tie is what it is. It's weird to tie. Like you, I felt like we let so much get away. And Feliciano going up and flexing, like, I don't understand that. He could say he was going up and flexing with Slate. Wait till Slate gets. You don't run up into a group of Washington players and do that. I don't care what you were doing. What is the official going to think when you do that? He's not thinking, "Oh, look at this guy celebrating with his teammate." And why would he do that anyway? I must have missed something. Did Darius Slayton run over a dude Because if he ran over a guy or he got popped really hard and he bounced back up, that's when you give a little flex. Like, yeah, I ran you over, or you hit me as hard as you could and it didn't phase me. I thought it was just a catch that he made and went out of bounds, got the first down, and we were on our way to winning that game.
Yeah, listen, I get people who defended Feliciano for that penalty because supposedly he wasn't doing it towards the Washington players, but at the end of the day, you got to have situational awareness. I mean, there's 6 minutes left in the game. You know that there's that stupid rule in the NFL. You got to be smarter than that.
Yeah,
smarter than that. And I'm not saying, and I don't know the full context of the flag, but you can't even put yourself in that situation. It was kind of what we said about Saquon Barkley when he got pushed out of bounds. Can't put yourself in that situation
right.
to even allow that to happen. And that's what Feliciano did. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully he learns from it. And luckily for him, otherwise I thought he would have gotten roasted.
Yeah, we didn't lose.
We were able to get out of there with a tie.
Yeah. When Gano, was that ball deflected or it just didn't make it? It was on.
I think he just didn't make it. He even said it after the game. He knew as soon as he kicked it, there wasn't enough on it.
Gotcha. Because it looked good when he kicked it. It was, 58 yards. Of course, there's nothing against us. He's
into the wind, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they even said it on the post game. They said, I think Gano and Dable talked, and they said they had to get to the 53 to have any realistic chance. But at that point, you just got to try it.
Right, because that's the last play of the game.
Yeah, you had to go for
a penalty.
Yeah.
But yeah, and another thing, you talk about something else like a missed opportunity, and we mentioned it at the end of the first half. It's 3rd down and 1 from the 9 or whatever it is. You have no timeouts, and Daniel Jones runs the ball, and you have to get up and spike and kick a field goal. There was no difference there. That was your one play to go to the end zone. It pretty much ended up being like that's it.
The probability
nothing there.
The probability of you getting into the end zone on that play, even if because I saw film breakdowns of it, and yes, Evan Neal missed a block, but the probability of Daniel Jones getting in from 9 yards out on a design quarterback run are so slim. And the other thing, Bad Dog, say that play was more successful, but he didn't get in. Say he got to like the 2. They might have not been able to spike the ball.
Right.
Like if he made a bad miss and it took an extra 3 or 4 seconds for the play to develop and got tackled at the 2 or the 1 and there was a crowd near the goal line, the time might have run out. So it was such a stupid play call. It was so dumb. It didn't make any sense.
No, it didn't. And that's what I mean. People have been getting on Kafka for his play calling. And then we had the RPO where Richie James, and I don't know if it was Barkley, was back. They ran into each other. It was totally botched. It was totally botched. And there was another play that could have given us there was a lot of missed opportunities there, for sure. Tutto grazie, paisana, grazie. Big boss Kev, please suit me up against the Boyds, and I'll guarantee Hurts will be walking out of the field in his own power. I'll make sure he'll remember who broke him in 2 pieces. All right, listen, I'll sign you right now. If it was up to me, I'll get on the phone with Joe Shane. I'll say, let's just bring in Tutto for a quarter. Just a quarter. He's Italian. He's taking a guy out. He knows a guy who knows a guy.
And Tuto's the man. But I was just thinking about some of the other mistakes in that game. The other play I hated was the throw after the Slayton drop, where they threw it deep again on a 2nd and 10. It made very little sense to me. I thought that you got to go for a much higher percentage throw in that spot.
Yep.
And then the other decision that I couldn't stand, and again, I'm not trying to rag on Dable. I think he's done a tremendous job overall this year. But the timeout at the end of the game in the overtime, the last timeout that he used was horrible usage of the timeouts. He wasted because they were able to run the ball after that and wasted probably an extra 15 to 20 seconds that they wouldn't have been able to waste had he not called the timeout on the previous play. So I thought that there was little things from within the game where the coaching didn't do the best of jobs this week.
And that's the problem. We can't afford to even miss on little things because we're so depleted as far as talent goes, and you add the injuries on top of it. We're just not a team that can overcome even the slightest mistakes against better teams, especially like Philadelphia or, Washington. Again, they're very even with us, and Washington made their share of mistakes too. Heineke had the turnover. They had a couple holding calls, and they were driving the ball down the field that really stalled their drives. They had a couple of big holding calls that called it back. They missed a field goal. So both teams can sit there and look at it. Washington really did dominate the second half. We had a really good second quarter, but then that was kind of it. We just kind of stopped doing everything we did, and I just don't understand. I feel like we get too conservative and we get a lead, and I would like to see them be more aggressive when you get a lead. I would like to see more aggression, a bigger aggression factor when we have the lead.
Right.
Honestly, because at that point, okay, if you make a mistake, you make a mistake, but don't play not to lose, play to win. Go for the jugular, especially in a game like that. Listen, in 2 weeks, especially, you just got to throw everything on him in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
And if you come out of there with a loss, you do, but you have to go. You can't leave anything on that field.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks. JC, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says, don't agree. We've been conservative. We there you go. I was just talking about. We don't have depth to play lights out. Dabols has to play smart. It's not like the beginning. Relax. Well, I don't know if we were ever like aggressive, even at the beginning. I don't think we've played any differently.
No, I think we've been pretty much
we're just making more mistakes.
Well, the other difference is Saquon Barkley was much better at the beginning of the year. Yeah. I mean, and I'm the biggest Barkley fan there is, but and he looked really good in the first half this past week. But the second half, and I think most of it was due to the blocking and not Barkley himself. The blocking was atrocious in the second half. But the ground game just has not been the same since the bye, really. Since his 35 carry game against Houston. And that's changed a lot of things with this offense, obviously.
Yeah. And I don't think
I will say, though, Baddog, where we have thrived for everybody that's like picking on Kafka, and I definitely think there's things to pick on him about this past week. You know where we rank in red zone offense after last week? 11th. That's the highest we've been since 2014. Last year with the same squad, and granted, we have a healthy Barkley this year. That helps. But last year with the same squad, we were 32nd in red zone offense. The year before, we were 31st. So you got to give Kafka some credit for that. We haven't even been close to 11 since 2014. Yep. And that's with nobody at wide receiver.
Right.
And a quarterback learning a brand new offense. So Kafka knows something. He's doing something right.
Right. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think also with Barkley, again, maybe he's just getting worn down. He hasn't really played he played last year. He hasn't played a full season since his rookie season.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of carries on, and I also don't think it's not surprised that it coincided with both Daniel Bellinger and Evan Neal getting hurt. I think that did not help matters either. But I'd like to see him get a little bit more creative with Barkley, maybe. But like I said, that game against Washington, you just have to leave it all out there. There's just no doubt. You can't go out of there and go, man, we should have done this. We should have done that. Wish we would have done this differently. You got to go out there and just give your all. And if it ain't good enough, it ain't good enough. But, the Philadelphia game, I just hope we get out of it unscathed, no injuries, none of that.
Hopefully we get a Dory back for the Washington game. That'd be
great because that's huge if we get him to, cover McLaurin or help out of McLaurin because obviously McLaurin is – he had a 100-yard game against us. I don't know if that was his first this year or not, but obviously it was.
He's been good this year, I think.
Yeah. But he doesn't get a lot of touchdowns. He's not a big touchdown scorer.
Yeah.
Gavin, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says Jalen Hurts, the Eagles from winning anything that matters. One and done in the playoffs. Also, Giants win 27-24 at Philly. I love it.
I don't know how recent this is. We actually both just got added on Twitter about a Odell Beckham video, but I don't know how recent this is, but something must have just came out. I don't know. Prime Video. I don't know. I'll look at it later.
I don't know either. Odell Beckham's just they love Odell Beckham. Talk about Odell Beckham loves him some Odell Beckham. T.O. used to say that. Odell Beckham loves it.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham probably put the video out there.
I'm sure he did.
He probably did. Dire Giants fan, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Brilly. What up, fellas? Tainah looking good on the weight loss, my man. Washington was able to create turnovers against Philly. Giants are bottom of the league in that stat. Handful of chances last week, though. We did have chances. Just
appreciate it, Dire, man. Thank you very much, man.
Just couldn't get it done.
We had the game in hand. At the end of the day, we had the game in hand.
We can't let them convert the 4th and 4. Like, that's not good.
I will say, though, and 100%, the defense fell apart at the end. They were winded. We got destroyed in the time of possession, but still, you can't give up a 90-yard drive. But right. I will say, credit to the defense, came up with a huge stop at midfield in the overtime. That was basically a goal line stand. Because had they gotten 4 or 5 more yards, they're in field goal range. Yeah. And then they came up with the 3-and-out as well after we gave them the ball back with a minute and a half to go. So the defense overall, I thought had a a very good performance, but they had a couple of lapses. And then the other thing I'll say, the defense benefited a bit. Washington kind of beat themselves on 2 drives prior to that touchdown drive where they had a couple of holding penalties. So there's definitely some blemishes in the defense, but overall, it was good. And the most encouraging thing for me out of that game, like we said previously on the previous podcast, the pass rush looked as good as it's had not just this year, in years. Like, I thought the pass rush was really good last week.
I just went to Twitter. I don't see anything added at me.
Yeah, he added you. I'm just gonna play it. I don't know if it's relevant.
Oh, there it is. Taco Nacho.
Yeah, I don't know if it's relevant at all, but apparently, I don't know. Odell's talking about something on Prime Video.
Oh, on Prime Video. I don't know what the hell that is.
Let me see what he said. Hold on. I'll share it with the chat. I don't know if it's anything relevant. So if it's not, I apologize, guys, but it's probably not. But let me share it real quick because a couple of people added me, not just him. Here's the Odell thing. There you go, Baddog. Just share it. I'll expand it. Just tell me when you have it on the screen.
I just want to see what the hell it says. I don't see anything with that.
All right. So this is apparently a video that people wanted me to look at on Twitter.
I'll say this, but it doesn't mean anything.
We're in the
it's
shop.
just his words,
Keep
right?
it a buck.
I don't feel like Saquon Barkley and I got to do what we were supposed to do.
Oh, no, Pete.
That's all I got to say. And young
No,
Shaq,
it ain't happening, Pete. Pete, it
young
ain't
Shaq,
happening.
like, this is
Pete.
my brother, my family. Like, there's
Pete.
something that feels special
And he back too. He back.
about it. It's something that feels special. That's all I'm going to say.
Relax.
I don't think that's anything new though. I think we know.
Yeah.
He loves Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Giants going to pay him.
That's what it all comes down to at the end of the day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read too much into that.
No. I don't know. I hear an echo. I don't know if it's on my end or your end there.
You hear an echo?
I don't hear it now.
Oh, it might have been when I was playing the video.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure he does, but at the same time, are the Giants going to pay him? Do the Giants want Odell Beckham? That's the question. And at what cost?
To me,
he's not playing this year.
He's not playing this year. And I don't like, for people that think we should draft a quarterback, I don't think the Giants would want to sign Odell Beckham if you were drafting a quarterback. Because why would Odell want to sign here?
Right.
If you were completely knocking it down at 31 years old. So to me, if they're even entertaining this, that makes me believe Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback next year. I don't know that. But I don't know. I guess it's possible, but I still don't think it's going to happen.
Let me ask you this, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but what if he came here and the Giants are like, we ain't signing Saquon Barkley?
Well, that too, yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? So there's no guarantee. I do think Barkley will be back, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
So
I think they'll tag Barkley, but things could get messy after that.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Benjamin, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. I missed the 2021 Rams. They were a good team. This team is horrible. It's just a bad game tonight. He says, this team is trash. Training with the weight loss is amazing. Just be careful of KP. That boy is infatuated with your chest hairs. And if he goes to college, he's definitely in the schlong frat. I don't know. I have such a juvenile sense of humor, man. The word just makes me laugh. Benjamin just makes me laugh. Jared Johnson says, are people forgetting he's coming off a major injury?
2 major injuries, 2 ACL tears.
Yeah. And he's 30. And I think people have to realize we're not one wide receiver away from winning a Super Bowl.
I'm not banking on it. I'm at least open to it being possible, but I don't think it's probable at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll see.
DG says, you guys stay injured with that turf. Well, luckily we're changing the turf next year.
Actually, funny you mentioned that. They had samples. I think Dan Duggan showed it today. They had samples at the practice facility today of the 2 turfs that they were going to be trying out, and they had the players test them out.
Yeah. He says, I will say, I think you would have won the last 2 games with any good wide threat. OBJ is a good wide threat. We wouldn't have beat Dallas.
No,
Washington, maybe. We wouldn't have beat Dallas. And we wouldn't have beat Detroit. Detroit beat us up pretty good.
we couldn't run the ball against Detroit. Well, maybe if
Right.
we had a receiver, it opens up the run game. Who knows? But
I don't think Odell Beckham's that guy. Not right now.
no,
'Cause
I agree with that. I don't
he's
think
not
Beckham's
100% healthy.
I don't think Beckham's a 1 at this point. I agree with that.
Right. You know, I can't think he's. I'd rather just draft a wide receiver that's going to cost us money, and he's 9 years younger.
Yeah,
And he don't have any ACL
he'd
issues.
be the one on our team.
Right.
But that's
Right.
not
That's
saying much.
true. That's true. You can pick 10 people from the chat; they'd be the number 1 on our team. Anyway, Giants 26. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says, "Can we cut Glowinski after the season?"
No, his dead cap, it's too high.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to cut him. I think his dead cap is equal to his salary. He's going to be here with the Giants next year.
Feed Isaiah Hodgins.
He was great last week.
He's
He had
good.
a couple of huge plays. Yeah, of course, the touchdown where he ran a great route on that corner route.
Yeah.
And then he also had the big play where he stretched out that gave us the opportunity to have that stupid quarterback run right before the half. But Hodges had that big play before that. Hodges just played well for the Giants. I hope he's back. Matter of fact, I got to check this, but somebody told me he's under contract for a few more years, which if he is, that's great. Because obviously,
Yeah. I mean, he's a big body. I mean, he could be what we thought Kenny Galladay was going to be,
Yeah. I'm going to check that right now. But he's been really good for the Giants.
What an awful throw by Baker Mayfield. Baker stinks.
But he threw a pick?
No, he just overthrew his receiver by 10 yards. There was a flag in the play, so who knows what that was.
No, he's done after this year. Never mind. He's a free agent. Isaiah
Oh,
Hodgins.
he is. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a guy we can bring back on the cheap.
Yeah, he's a depth guy. I like him. He's a good player.
He's a big body. I mean, he can be a good red zone target. Like I said, we're going to get rid of Galladay, so maybe Hodgins. Listen here, Hodgins already has more touchdowns as a Giant than Galladay does. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why not? But Bellinger does better without one eye. I don't know about that. Bellinger was pretty good with 2 eyes. He's got 2 eyes.
Yeah, he's got 2 eyes now. He's just got to wear the visor.
He's got to wear the visor, but his eyes are there. He has 1 eye in his last name. He has 2 eyes in his full name. Duncan, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says, I'd like to have back the second in franchise receiving next year and pump those numbers. I'd like to have back the second in franchise receiving.
He means Odell Beckham, I think.
Oh. See, I think the Giants have other areas that they have to address. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas, Xavier McKinney, Julian Love, to name a few.
We'll see. I'm not banking on it. I know people want it. We'll see. I'm not gonna. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's all you could say. We'll see.
Yeah. I like this.
He's not playing this year. I don't think. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. No, I doubt it. He said he wouldn't be available till January, and he hasn't worked out for anybody. Why would you pay the guy sight unseen?
Yeah.
So, I love this screen name. He was Super Jet. I know punk bitch. He says Giants fans still have pride. What other sports franchise can say they won a championship the last 4 decades? 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010.
I'll have to think about that.
None.
Nobody in the NFL.
Nobody in the Major League Baseball.
NBA. The Lakers win.
The Lakers probably did.
The Lakers won with Davis in the 10s.
I don't think they won in the 2010s. No, Lakers won in 2020.
Oh, 2020.
That's a 2020. It was 2020, 2020. 2019, 2020. So that's actually the 2020 season. Because it's always like the last year of it.
So if they don't count,
I don't know if they won in the 2010. They might have.
Well, they must have in the 2000s. I don't know if they won in the 90s. They
2000s
didn't win in the 90s. They didn't win. Actually, did they with Johnson at the beginning?
No, they lost to the Bulls.
So they didn't win in the 90s. I think they won in the 2000s.
Yeah.
I don't know about hockey. Maybe somebody in hockey. I don't know. You said no to baseball because the Yankees didn't win in the 80s.
Yeah, the Yankees didn't win in the 80s. The Yankees didn't win in the 10s either.
They didn't win in the 10s. They won in 2009. What about the Cardinals?
Cardinals didn't. They won it in 82. I don't think they won in the 90s. The Yankees and Braves are most of them in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Yankees won 96, 98.
Toronto won a couple in the 90s.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's crazy. Outside of possibly hockey, I don't know. But outside of possibly hockey, the Giants are the only team to win a championship in those 4 decades.
That is pretty awesome.
That's insane.
Then we're due.
Yeah.
We're due. Maybe
Yeah.
not this year, but we are due. We are due. Dan, my friend, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Brilly. Aziz looked great last week. We'll take our front four over most teams. Other position groups, not so much. Yeah, our front four looks like it could be pretty good. Looks like it. I mean, that's like Chris mentioned. It's the first time we had Aziz Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeau, Leonard, and Dexter, and both Aziz and Kayvon had sacks. The pressures as those guys get healthier and get acclimated to the wing system and acclimated to playing one another. I think having Aziz Ojulari back is only going to help Kayvon Thibodeau, who I think's played great the last month. I know he don't have a lot of sacks, but I think he's been awesome.
Yeah,
I think he's better every week.
And Aziz looked fantastic last week. So, yeah, I'm excited about a pass rush, not just for this year, but for next year too. I think that duo is going to be really good, especially if we keep that interior together between Dex, Leo, and those two. Like, we might have a upper echelon pass rush next year, like one of the best in the league.
Gavin said Tom Brady is a quarterback to win a Super Bowl, and Baddog is in his 20s. It's so, yeah, I mean, Tom Brady and I are the same age. Brady's a year younger than me.
That's insane.
But yeah, we're the same age. So yeah, he would be the one. I don't think there's any other quarterback playing that's in their 40s. Is there a quarterback hanging
Breeze
around?
was, but he retired.
Right. Is there a quarterback hanging around that's in his 40s?
Maybe Matt Ryan. He's close, probably.
No,
I don't know
Ryan didn't come. Ryan came into the league. What? Aaron Rodgers, maybe.
Rodgers came in 05, right?
So Rodgers would have been born in 84. So he was not quite far. I think he's 39. I think Rodgers is 39.
So he's up there.
Right. Alex Smith is gone. Everybody from the 2004 class is gone.
I think you're right. I think Brady's the only one that's 40 right now. Rodgers is close.
Yeah. But yeah. Gavin said Ryan is our age, Chris. Number one, great name. But he said, Jay Cutler. That's not what I wanted. I wanted John Kitten. John Kitten. Tibbs Rookie of the Year. No.
I just looked it up. So, yes, you're right. Rodgers is 39, and then the next two are 37 apiece, and that is Ryan. Probably Ryan. Flacco, maybe. He's a backup, but probably Ryan and Flacco, if I had to guess. I'm trying to find it, but probably Ryan and Flacco.
Yeah. Flacco won one.
Yeah.
But I was in my 30s when he won.
And Stafford's, I think, about 35.
I'm getting freaking old. Fabian says, would you rather the Cowgirls or the She-Girls take the division? I don't care. I hate them both.
Really,
they're both making the playoffs. I hope they both go one and done in the playoffs. That's the way I look at it.
I think this is very sad for me to say this because I did have the 49ers winning the NFC. Before the year started, I stuck with it. And now that Garoppolo went down, I can't pick them. They're starting Purdy right now at quarterback. But you never know. You know, people would have said the same thing about Brady.
He didn't look that bad on Sunday.
But what I'll say, though, Baddog, is teams haven't gotten a book on him. Right? Now teams are going to see him play.
Okay. They still have a stout defense.
They still have a really good team.
They have Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel.
They have the best team
Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle.
In terms of overall team, they have the best team in football, in my opinion, in terms of 53-man roster. But I think with Garoppolo going down, I think it makes the Eagles and the Cowboys the two favorites to come out of the NFC.
The Niners should be able to run against the Eagles.
I hope. I hope.
Not to mention Kyle Shanahan. The dude's a genius.
And I won't rule out, because we know that football is a game of momentum. I won't rule out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You can never rule out Tom Brady.
Because Brady had that nice comeback this week, and
that wasn't fixed.
Maybe they start to gain some momentum. So I won't rule out the Bucs, but I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are the overwhelming favorites right now in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean,
because who else you got left? I mean,
I would tend to agree. It's those three. It's the Niners, Cowboys, and Eagles.
And you throw the Bucs in there as a chance.
Yeah, the Bucs are way down there, though.
Because I'm not a believer in the Vikings.
I mean, who would play the Bucs in the first? The Cowboys?
Cowboys, Bucs, first round.
I think the Cowboys have knocked him right the hell out.
So then you would probably have Eagles Cowboys second round,
That'd be great.
which means one of them is getting to the NFC title game.
That would suck.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I've always been a gigantic Tom Brady fan, as everybody knows. They knocked the Eagles out last year.
They did.
So, I mean, if I had any added incentive to root for Brady, it'd be to knock Dallas out, which would be great. JV, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. He says, great show. Daniel Jones-Barkley similar to Dave Brown and Rodney Hampton. Offense putting me to sleep. I have to watch them here at 4 a.m. Are you in the Philippines, my friend? Because that sounds like Filipino time.
That's a dedicated fan right
12
there.
hours ahead of me because I do Laker games, and there's a lot of people from the Philippines in there. I appreciate you watching the show, even though it's like 11 o'clock in the morning for you on a Friday. But that is dedication. Just like our buddies in the UK that watch the 8 o'clock games, it's 1 in the morning there.
And it is similar to that team, JV. I will say that this team, and it's not just because of those two individuals, because the offensive line is awful. But yeah, I remember growing up those mid to late 90s Giants teams with the guys that you just said, the 96, 97 time frame with Rodney Hampton, Charlie Way. The defense is what carried that team, and we had a good ground attack. So it is very similar to that 97 team that made the playoffs.
Yeah, don't forget about Chris Callaway. He was amazing.
Chris Callaway.
We had a young Amani Toomer on that team. Listen, the last time we tied was 97. We played against Washington. We made the playoffs.
Yeah, it is similar to that team. It is similar to that team.
Yeah, it's very similar.
That team had better. I mean, they had Michael Strahan. They had
Jesse Armstead. Seahorn in his prime.
Yeah, so that was like a high-end defense. This defense isn't as good as that one, but it's the makeup of the team is similar.
Yeah, I think Barkley's a little bit. I think that Jones and Barkley are a little bit better.
I agree with that.
But yeah, the overall team, I think a 97 was better than what we have now.
Yeah,
even with Chris Callaway catching passes. We also had a very young Tiki Barber on that team.
Was Jura Vicious on that team?
Or did he come up there 97? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always get when he and Ed McCaffrey were there mixed up because it was around that time frame.
Yeah.
He might Jojo Vicious might have been there in 97.
I'm gonna look him up right now and see.
Tommy, thank you, my friend. He says 9 wins, even if we lose to DC, should get us in. No, if we win 9 games, we lose to Washington. Washington wins 1 more game, we're out.
Jura Vicious was 98, was his rookie year. 98.
We lose. If we win 9 games and Washington beats us, Washington needs to win 1 of their last 3. And
yeah, Tommy, I'm almost positive it is statistically more probable for us to make the playoffs at 8-8-1 if we beat Washington than to make it at 9-7-1 if we don't. That's how important that game is because we would own the tiebreaker against Washington. That's really our main competition right now for that last playoff spot. If you beat Washington, you get to 8-8-1, and they were to only win 1 out of their last 3, we would actually still get in. If you lose to Washington, they own the tiebreaker, and you're essentially 2 games out with 3 games to play. So that Washington game means everything. We can't lose to them.
All right. In Seattle's schedule is pretty easy. They have the Niners, but they have the Rams. They have a couple easy games in there. The Lions are going to get to 10 wins.
The one wrench that you could throw in there, is it possible that the Niners fall off now that Garoppolo got hurt? But I still think they're too good to fall off. But they play Washington and they play Seattle, the 2 teams that we're competing with. So if the Niners lose this week to the Bucs, then they play the Seahawks and Washington back to back. So if they were to lose both of those games, suddenly they fall potentially as a team that we could pass. So it's interesting to see how these next 3 weeks play out from a playoff.
It definitely is. I'll tell you what, Tommy, I just want to beat Washington.
Yeah, just
we're going to go 1-1 in the next 2 games. Washington's the team we got to beat.
Yeah,
it just is. Will, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. He says, "Why are we sleeping?" I think he meant Miami. Maybe?
No, I think he meant Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota.
I'm not sleeping on them. I just don't think they're a Super Bowl team. But listen, you never know. Last year I had the Rams going to the Super Bowl before the year started, so I thought they were a Super Bowl team. I don't know. I just don't view Minnesota as a Super Bowl team. I really don't. To me, they haven't looked. I know their record says so. They have not looked super impressive to me this year. I'm not completely sold on Minnesota. I like Minnesota. I liked them before the year started, but I don't view them as a Super Bowl threat.
No, me neither. I don't think they're as good as you. I mean, you saw what Dallas did to them. Dallas absolutely annihilated them. So they're not.
Yeah, I
on
mean,
that
I'm
level.
looking at their schedule right now. So Minnesota this year, they beat Green Bay week 1. Aaron Rodgers looked horrible in that game,
Looks like bad all
23-7.
year, honestly.
They got destroyed by the Eagles week 2, 24-7. They beat Detroit early in the year when Detroit was playing horrible. They beat the Saints by 3. They beat the Bears by 7. They did win in Miami. I'm not sure if Tua played in that game or not, week 6. Then they beat Arizona, again, a team that's playing horrible this year. They beat Washington.
Was Tua hurt? Tua was in concussion protocol at some point.
He might have been that week 6 game. He might have been.
Yep.
They beat Washington on the road by 3. They did beat Buffalo. That's an impressive win. Week 10.
And that was a miracle win. Now, remember Buffalo fumbled the snap and Minnesota scored a touchdown at the end of the game to tie it.
Still an impressive game. You know, they stayed.
It is, but it was a miracle victory.
Yeah, and Buffalo has not been playing great recently. They got destroyed by the Cowboys, like you said, 40-3.
Yeah.
And then they beat New England. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like they're not a Super Bowl team. I feel like if they stack up against a good team in the playoffs, they'll lose.
Right. Justin Jefferson is the real deal, but do you believe in Kirk Cousins in a big game? I don't.
Yeah, I could see him maybe getting to the NFC title game. I just don't view him as a Super Bowl team.
No. Die Hard, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. I hate to bring up the draft, but we're Swiss cheese. Match these positions with the pick, not knowing who's there. Center, wide receiver, cornerback, inside linebacker, first, second, 2/3.
Wide receiver in the first.
Definitely.
At that point, it just comes down to your draft board. But even in the first round, it comes down to your draft board. If there's a linebacker there that's well above your wide receiver, you're probably taking the linebacker because that's a big need too, or cornerback or whatever. But wide receiver, I'd probably go interior line round 2 if there was a really good one there. Just because I think it's so important to get the offense situated as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we need it.
And then I go linebacker and corner in the third. But again, it all boils down to the draft board. You can't really do that, especially after round 1. You really can't do that.
Yep.
You know, like we wouldn't have thought that the Giants would have taken a safety in the second round in 2020, but McKinney was there. So you know,
we didn't expect McKinney to fall down there.
You know, so you can't really predict. After the first round, it comes down to BPA.
Right. JC says Damian Pierce, Pollard, or Barkley. I like Pollard. I can't lie. Pollard's really, really good. And he's much cheaper than Saquon's going to be.
I think Pollard's a free agent.
Is he?
I think. Somebody told me that. Let me look. I think he is.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Dallas can't let that guy go. They're worried about.
We're not signing him, but I'm just saying.
No, not us. But I'm saying if Dallas worried about signing Odell Beckham, they're not worried about getting Tony Pollard back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a free agent at the end of the year, which, they're not going to be able to keep him unless they cut Zeke. Yeah, he's a free agent at the end of the year. Yep. So they'll lose him probably.
Will, thank you. Appreciate it. He says, I don't know. It's hard to gauge who's really elite. All these teams have really questionable games this year. Mini, Philly, Dallas all had bad losses. You chalk that up to a bad game. But
Will, I think the one elite team in terms of talent in the NFC was the 49ers. But now that Garoppolo went down, I think the Eagles and the Cowboys are the next closest thing.
I think Dallas. I mean, when did they have a bad loss? Who was their bad? I mean, remember, Dak didn't play the first couple of games.
Let me look at Dallas's schedule. And like you said, when did Dak come back? He came back after the first Eagles game, right?
Yep.
So I'm not sure which week that was. I know he didn't look great in the beginning of the year.
He missed the first 3. Actually, they didn't lose. They didn't lose. They only lost that game without Dak. Cooper Rush won all the other games.
Yeah, so they lost week 1 to Tampa. Since then, they beat the Bengals. They beat us. They beat Washington. They beat the Rams, who aren't good this year. They lost to the Eagles with Rush at quarterback, 26-17. Then they beat the Lions. They beat the Bears. They lost to Green Bay, which was a surprise in overtime. Then they destroyed Minnesota. Then they beat us again. Then they beat the Colts. They put up 54 points last week against the Colts. In which Dak only threw for 170
in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And I look at Dallas's remaining schedule. They're going to beat Houston. Then they play at Jacksonville. They're going to win that. If they win the Eagles game, they If
They
the
can
Eagles
win the
cough up
division.
one game, they got a good chance to win the division.
Yeah. That's why that game on Christmas Eve is going to be crazy. You know, Cowboy fans are gigantic Giants fans this week.
Of course they are.
Normally, when we play Dallas, Philly's always like they're big Giants fans. Dallas is rooting their ass off for us this week. So maybe that added incentive it will help the Giants. You know, every Cowboy fan out there is pulling for the Giants to win this game.
Of course they are.
You know, everything that they can. Fabian, thank you, my friend. He says, thank you for all that you do. Love you guys. No homo. I was talking with somebody about that today. That saying that we don't use that saying anymore because it's not politically correct anymore. But that was something years back. And they were talking about today's slang because, you know, oh no, it was in last night's stream. That's what it was. Because they were talking about cheeks. Then Law Nation goes, is that an East Coast thing? We don't use that term down here. And then we just started talking because we're all older, you know, we're all in our 30s and 40s, started bringing up the 90s slang. And I said, the young people always love when I use the word no cap. They that's the only slang I know. No cap. No cap. Charles says, thoughts on the refs missing offsides on the spike and spotted the ball wrong.
Yeah, well, they definitely spotted the ball wrong on the Jones throw. I'll tell you that to Richie James. I went back and watched the replay on that. And then we picked up more yards after that to get in better field goal range. That was a really bad spot. The spot to at the end of the half, they got wrong too. I think where we got tackled and they spotted a 3rd and 1. That should have been a first down.
Yep.
And yeah, the guy was offsides. The officiating this year is awful.
It's horrible.
I even posted a video when I was watching the primetime game, I think on Monday night, where they ruled Mike Evans out of bounds while I was watching the game. He was in bounds by about 6 feet.
Yeah.
And they ruled him out of bounds.
Yep.
It's insane. The officiating is so bad in the NFL this year. It's so bad.
It's blatantly obvious how bad it is. And the thing is, when you have a really tightly contested game like that Tampa Bay, New Orleans game, or like our game, they can't afford to make mistakes. Like, that's game changing. Like, they're deciding the game.
Here it is. I'm going to show you the video, Baddog. Look at this. Hold on. Let me turn off the volume. Look how bad of a call this is. Let me share this with the chat. And again, it's off my TV, so it's not going to be like, you know, quality if I screen record it or something. But look at this call. This might have been the worst missed call I've ever seen in my life. And it wasn't after contact because I didn't show it after contact. It was based strictly off the feet. Because he didn't juggle the ball or anything like that. They later overturned the call. Look how bad of a call this is, Baddog. Let me blow up the screen on it.
Oh no, I watched the game.
Yeah, so look at this. Catches the ball.
The game. I know. Yep.
1, 2. Look how much green's there.
Yep. I know. No, I know. They didn't see his first foot go down.
I mean,
how do you miss that? Yeah, no, I saw that. It was terrible.
My God, man, the officiating this year has been so bad.
It's awful. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Will J, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says it's just more annoyance on my behalf. Y'all do a great job. I'm just tired of being 3rd and 4th and being little brother of the division. No, I agree. I'm sick and tired of watching Philadelphia and Dallas run this division too. I hate them with a passion. The only thing I could say, Will, is listen, we have a chance to get in the playoffs, which is something I didn't think we could at the beginning of the year. You just got to look at the future, right? The Giants have a plan. The Giants have direction. The Giants have 21st century minds on the sideline and in the front office. They're going to be able to draft their own guys this year. They're going to have cap space. They're going to be able to assign who they want. They're going to be able to draft who they want. Not that they didn't draft who they want last year, but that was not their scouting teams evaluating talent for the Giants. So yeah, this year's ice is just gravy if we make the playoffs. But going forward, we need to continue to get better. Because if we don't, then I'm going to be disappointed. But I look at what we do. I look at the 2 guys in that front office. Both of them come from probably the 2 best GMs as far as working the cap goes, Bean and Roseman, you know, with Brandon Brown and Joe Shane. So I think we're going to get better.
All comes down to the offseason plan. But, you know, in terms of what our expectations are going into next year. But
yeah,
if they stick with Jones, yeah, I'm going to expect this team to be a playoff team and an improved team in 2023.
Yeah.
Of course, if they trade up for a quarterback, Don't expect much.
Yeah.
If you got a rookie quarterback behind center, but it all comes down to do what they do in the offseason. But I definitely think, regardless, I think you have a good head coach in place, and I think you got what we hope is a smart GM. So far, some of the limited resources he's had, I think he's done a really good job with guys like Hodgins, guys like Jihad Ward, like guys he's picked up off the street.
Right.
Moreau. Like I think he's found a way to get some production out of some of these players he's brought in, and the draft picks are looking better as the weeks progress. Thibodeau's look great over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Obviously, Bellinger looks like a really good pick. He's had some bad luck. There's been a lot of injuries to the draft class, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the future of the team.
Yep. And my Giants, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. I just took care of that. Since I saw you said the Giants signed Odell, whenever somebody puts fake news up there, we just get rid of them. And we'll have to find something else to do. It's it. You know. So Den Zio says Sundays are blue versus the other teams and zebras. It seems like that. But you know what's funny? I think every fan base will say the officials are against them. I think every team says that.
Yeah, listen, the officiating is just bad in general. Obviously, as Giants fans, we feel like it's always against us. I just think it's bad in general. And there's definitely at times when you're watching the game, you're like, we always get screwed. But I feel like everybody feels that way. The officiating is just bad.
Yep.
It's just bad throughout the league.
I agree. Well, the Raiders didn't make it on 3rd and 1. It's going to be a replay of the Bucks and Saints where the Raiders dominate, can't get up 16-3. Rams score late touchdown. Now it's 16-10. The Rams are getting the ball back with 2 minutes to go.
They're going to choke this away?
I don't know if they're going to go for on 4th down here. I can't believe they'd go for on 4th down here from their own 35 or whatever it is. Because
they might line up. They'll probably line up just to try to draw them off sides.
Well, they're going to hit the 2-minute warning. I can't imagine them going for this because if they get stopped, you're pretty much conceding the game. The Raiders are only 2 games out of the playoffs.
They'll line up like they're going to go for it, but they're not going to go for it.
Janice, my lady, thank you so much. It's happy holidays to you, Baddog and Chris. Thank you. Happy holidays to everybody out there.
Happy holiday to you, Janice. Thanks for popping in.
Big one's coming up. A little Baddog's very excited for 2 weeks from Saturday. She says, just wrapping, or 2 weeks from Sunday, right? Yes, 2 weeks from Sunday. Just wrapping gifts and listening to your G-Men talk. Go Giants. Let's go Giants.
Let's go Giants.
Let's go Giants. What else we got here? New York dude says this year showed major improvement. Danny and Saquon look good, and we aren't going to have a losing season. Coming into the year, did you think the NFL would flex the game? Yeah, that's a good point. Did you think our game would be flexed? If anything, they would have flexed us out of prime time. Is what I thought.
That I think we'd be getting a prime time game, especially against Washington. If you would have told me before the year, and especially after the way that Washington looked at the start of the year, it's been great. It's been a great improvement. Definitely didn't expect this. We're in a spot none of us envisioned, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited for the opportunity in 2 weeks.
Yep. What a hell of a punt. They kicked it all the way down to the 2.
Oh, so they're going to win.
Yeah. Cole, if I can kick that thing all the way down to the 2. Rolled about 25 yards down to the 2. And a hug the sideline. That was insane. Rams are limited. I think the Rams are done anyway. Thank you, Lake Nona. I feel much better today than I did last night. Still a little tired, but that's just my life. I live my life tired.
The Raiders are giving themselves a chance to make the playoffs.
What's that?
I mean, the Raiders are
starting. The Raiders will be 6-7 if they win this game.
This will be their 4th straight win.
Yep. It's funny because my brother-in-law is a Raiders fan. He's like, I've been hoping that they tank, and he's now they're going to start winning and just miss the playoff because he doesn't like Derek Carr. He's like, I know what Derek Carr is, and I don't want Derek Carr in here anymore.
They're only going to be a game out if they win.
Listen, if Daniel Jones is in the league for as long as Derek Carr was and was still middling around, then you could say, okay, enough. Because it's not like Derek Carr don't have a Devontae Adams. It didn't have an Amari Cooper. Doesn't have a Josh Jacobs.
Pretty damn good too.
Right? Does Darren Waller? Well, Waller's been hurt, but yes.
Yeah. Chargers have been so disappointing. I mean, I know they've had injuries, but they've been so disappointing this year.
Yeah, they definitely have. They definitely have. Rams are having a Super Bowl hangover. Rams have dealt with a lot of injuries too. You know. Lorenzo says, crazy how you have fans upset with the Giants. They'll start off 6-1. We're 7-4-1. I'll tell you, though, I've been to more games this year than I've been in years. I just think some Giants fans, no matter what, are not going to be happy until Daniel Jones is off the team. I just feel like the guys that are not happy that we're winning are just saying Daniel Jones isn't doing enough. And then we lose. And I told you he stinks. I told you he misses throws. I told you he does this. That was his fault. Darius Slayton dropped the ball. He didn't lead him here. It just, it's crazy. That's the game. Well, it's a flag down. I was going to say game's over. Just doing an interception, but there's a flag down. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know why Giants fan. It's funny because this year I thought it'd be a lot of fun because we are winning games. It seems like it's very strange. It seems like winning sucked the life out of this fan base. If that makes any sense at all.
I don't even want
to. You?
Every day I pop in on Twitter, it makes me want to go on there less and less and less and less. Because you go on there and somebody asks you a question or somebody and you bring up your point of view and they like if you say anything remotely positive about Daniel Jones, you get attacked. Like they are blood-sucking vampires. Like they want to get rid of this guy any opportunity they can. And I think that has a lot to do with it. Like you said, I think they're rooting for the team to lose because they want to ensure that Daniel Jones isn't back.
It's just strange. It's just been a strange season.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was more juice in the fan base when we were 4-13 than there is when we're 7. I don't get it. Yeah. This year's been draining, man. It's just weird. It's weird. I don't know. I figured when we won games, it'd be more fun, and we have won games, and it's not the same. It's very weird. It's almost like some of the fan base just got accustomed to losing, and that's just what makes them happy, is complaining. And now that some of them still do complain that they're decent, but they can't complain as much. And it's just like, if I can't complain about the Giants, I don't care about the Giants.
Yeah.
Or some of them are just waiting to get rid of Daniel Jones. But I have bad.
They get their wish.
I don't think they're getting rid of Daniel Jones for you guys that want to get rid of him. I don't think that's happening.
We'll see.
Dominic, thank you. He says, hey, gentlemen, after all the visits with Odell and some of this leaked news with the Cowboys as far as his physical, where do you see him landing? I didn't know there was any leaked news about his physical.
Yeah. What's his name came out and Jerry Jones came out and said that they didn't feel like he was. Now, I don't know, if they just said that as a bargaining tool or whatever. But, yeah, Jerry Jones came out and said they didn't feel comfortable in signing him based off of his physical.
Oh.
But he didn't even
try. He won't
land
anywhere until next year, Dominic. That's my.
I think he's going to sign somewhere next year. I don't know who it's going to be. I have no idea. But if he's going to sign anywhere this year, I think it'll be the Bills at this point.
Right.
But I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to wait till next year and sign with somebody.
Yeah.
It only makes sense.
Right. The Rams are driving. They got it at the 31 with 40 seconds to go.
The Raiders 31?
Yes.
Wow.
Somebody just made a big catch on the sideline. I don't know who it was, but Adam AA, my friend, thank you for Super Chat. He says doubleheader streams. Yes. Thursday usually is a doubleheader stream. He says, I'm afraid Barkley has gassed out for the season. He's been looking awfully similar to previous year's thoughts. I think that he's wearing out, and because he hasn't played a full season since his rookie season. He's dealt with injury. He missed a full season. He missed 4 or 5 games last year with the ankle. So he's got a lot more carries this year than he's had the most carries this year since his rookie year. So
that probably has something to do with it. I think last week he looked closer to the Saquon that we saw over the first half of the season in the first half specifically. You saw the burst for sure on the touchdown run. Even if you recall, Baddog, he had that catch, I think in the fourth quarter on one of the big drives where he just mowed the guy over for 7 extra yards where it looked like he was pushing the sled. So I think you saw more of what we saw from Saquon earlier on in the year. I just think in the second half of that football game, we couldn't block.
Right.
Like he was getting mauled in the backfield. Like he had no chance. And our blocking was pitiful.
Rams just scored a touchdown.
Are you kidding me?
No. Baker Mayfield just threw a great touchdown to Van Jefferson in the corner. This is just like the other night. It's the same exact thing.
Wow.
With 9 seconds to go. I mean, obviously the extra points, everything, but Raiders just blew their season losing to the Rams. Sean McVay can't even believe it.
Wow. So Baker Mayfield just hurt their draft pick.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Baker don't give a damn about the Rams, but Baker trying to catch on somewhere else.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Wow.
be a Jet next year.
Wow.
Be a Jet.
Could be.
Gonna be a Jet.
Could be.
Ben, my friend, thank you for the super chat. What was the bet that Philly was going to make with you? I don't know. I told Philly, he said he was making a video. I haven't even watched it. I told him I'm not betting on the Giants. I'm not stupid. I'm not betting. The Giants are a 9-point dog or 7 or 10 or whatever the hell they are, depending on what betting site you go to. Why would I do that? If I'm going to bet on the Giants, I'm going to put $50 on them or $20 on them and take the money line and get my plus 220.
Yeah.
I don't just bet straight. I'm not stupid. I'm not a big bettor, but I don't just bet straight up when my team is a massive underdog. It's not good business.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's not.
I heard from reliable sources, nephew Brandon Frogers, that he's a big fan of the Ring Jaws scheme of bagels and cream cheese and a side of soggy biscuits.
That sucks. I started the Raiders defense. They still did okay. They got me 14 fantasy points, but I started the Raiders defense. They had, I think, 17 before that touchdown.
Yeah. It's weird. Devontae Adams didn't do anything nice. The Raiders didn't try to throw the ball, which is very weird. When I had this up, they ran a lot of reverses, double reverse, like they were getting cute. It's like they were working on stuff. The first play of the game, they went to Devontae Adams down the sideline for 32 yards, and then he only had 2 catches after that. Like, never threw to him, which is weird.
Carr's gone. I think they're going to cut Carr.
I think
or
so,
trade,
too.
or maybe trade him. But
Yep, I think so too.
yeah, I think he's gone.
But that was really bad. That was really bad. I don't know.
How do you lose that game?
The same way that Tampa Bay law or whatchamacallit, that just you're not aggressive. You stop playing, you take your foot off the gas.
Wow.
That's what happened. That's what happened. Now, bad teams find a way to lose. We know that. The Saints are bad. Tampa Bay is going to the playoffs. But for the Raiders to lose to the Rams, was pretty bad.
That's pretty a bad one.
That's right. The Raiders sold. Yes,
That's
they
a bad
did.
one. That's a bad one.
Did. Christopher Spire says, to me as a Giants fan, Jones' ceiling as a game manager, want a quarterback with a higher ceiling. Who's your quarterback, Christopher? Tell me. You tell me, because I think you said this in Patty Stream. Tell me who you want to be the quarterback for the Giants next year. I'm just curious.
Well,
I'll wait for your response. I just want to know who you want. I want to know who you want to quarterback the Giants next year if it's not Daniel Jones.
I'll wait. I mean, I'll tell you your options. Your options realistically.
No, don't even give him. Don't. I just want to know who he wants. That's
realistic,
gonna
and don't say Lamar Jackson because that's not happening. Baker Mayfield. Are you kidding me?
He didn't say Baker Mayfield.
No, I saw somebody in the chat say Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
No chance do I want Baker Mayfield.
Yep. Carr just threw a pick. That is the game.
Carr threw a pick. Good, because I'm going against him in fantasy, so that's good.
Yep.
He had a horrible game.
You just said the same thing, Christopher. This is nothing. To me as a Giants fan, Jones ceiling is a game manager. Give me a name. Give me the quarterback you want under center next year. I'm just waiting for a name. I'm waiting for somebody that we can get that you think is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones.
Richardson? He wants Anthony Richardson.
You actually watched Anthony Richardson play? Or are you just using the name because he was a hot name at the beginning of the year?
He's still a hot name with Giants fans.
Anthony Richardson is absolutely horrible. And, yeah, bring Anthony Richardson in here to throw to Richie James and Marcus Johnson and Isaiah Hodgins with no interior offensive line. Yeah, bring in Anthony Richardson for that. He's horrible. He's absolutely horrible. You think Anthony Richardson is going to be a better quarterback than Daniel Jones? Probably wanted to draft Malik Willis last year too. No, sorry.
I'm telling you right now, he's going to be the guy that Giants fans are pounding the table for this year in the draft. It's going to be Anthony Richardson. That's going to be the guy.
Yeah, well,
I'm telling you, guys see it all over Twitter. That's going to be the guy
so that's why I picked the name because it's all
everybody's comparing him to Josh Allen in terms of his physical traits and
Jude is nothing like Josh Allen.
I'm telling you, that's going to be the one. That's going to be the hot name that Giants fans want.
That's not going to happen. He's terrible. Horrible. Actually, let's look at his statistics.
I know what they are. 16 touchdowns, 9 picks.
Oh, I just want to look at it because I want to see where he got these. Because I know at the beginning he didn't throw a touchdown for like 4 games in a row. It was something insane like that. Where is this? Let's look at this. Pop up there. What's going on here? Game logs. There we go. Okay. So his first 3 games of the year, he played Utah. He played well against them. He threw for 168 yards. He was 17 of 24. He ran for 106.
Yeah. And they have a good defense.
And he scored 3 touchdowns. Against Kentucky, 14 for 35. That's 40%. 143 yards, 2 interceptions. He had 6 carries for 4 yards. Against South Florida. That's right, the South Florida. 10 of 18, 55%, 112 yards, 2 interceptions, 7 carries, 24. So he started off the year at about, 50% passing, 55% passing, no touchdowns, 4 picks. Against South Florida, Kentucky, and Utah. Utah's a decent team. Then they got blown out by Tennessee, and he got a lot of garbage yards. So he got 453 yards. Against Eastern Washington, he must have got hurt. He only threw the ball 10 times and ran it once. He threw for 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception against Eastern Washington. Against Missouri, 8 out of 14 for 66 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Against Louisiana State, who they lost to, well, it's LSU, but still, he lost 25-15. He was 15 of 25. 185 and a touchdown. He did run for 109 yards. Against Georgia, which is almost the equivalent of an NFL law, maybe.
Close.
18 for 37. And of course, they got blown out. So he got the cheap touchdown at the end of the game. 48.6%. He did throw a touchdown, 11 rushes, 19 yards. He's played well. He played well against Vanderbilt. They lost. And he played well against Florida State. And they lost.
And if I'm not mistaken, in the Florida State game, I'm pretty sure. Look at his stats in the first half and in the second half. I don't think he completed a pass almost the entire second half.
He was 9 out of 27.
Yeah, and in the second half, I think he completed 1 pass. Because he started off really good in that game.
Yeah, he was 9 out of 27. That's terrible.
It's 33%.
That's terrible. Against Florida State. He has a completion percentage of 53.8 in college.
Now, to be fair, and what the Anthony Richardson people point to is they'll say Josh Allen's percentage wasn't great either in college.
Where did Josh Allen play?
Wyoming.
Is Wyoming as good of a school as Florida?
No.
I don't get it. Anthony Richardson's not good. He's not good. Lorenzo, thank you for super chat. Appreciate it. Franchise DJ. If he doesn't work, Caleb Williams. It's too much money. And if you franchise him, you can't move the money around. They're just better off signing to a small contract or small yearly 3 years and being able to get
Which
out.
Is essentially you could still get out after a year or 2. But yeah,
right.
I wouldn't franchise tag him, but I would
give him 3 years.
Yeah.
And if he stinks after next year and you want to draft Caleb, if you're drafting number 1, the Giants would have to go about 2-15 to get Caleb Williams. Right, because Caleb Williams is going to be the first overall pick in the draft.
There's no way they're going to be bad enough to get Caleb Williams.
No.
Unless the only way it's even remotely possible.
They have to trade. They have to get first round
This
picks.
is how it'd be possible for them to be bad enough to do that. If they let Daniel Jones walk, like if Daniel Jones got an offer somewhere else for a lot of money and the Giants let him walk and they didn't draft a quarterback this year and they had Tyrod Taylor as their starter or something like that.
And they let Barkley go too.
That's the only way they could be bad enough to get the number 1 pick in the following draft. Something like that, which I don't see happening.
I don't either.
Because then suddenly Joe Shane's on the hot seat. Like, they have to think about their job security too. And I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening.
Bodo, thank you, my friend. Still one of the best thumbnails on YouTube. That game was horrible for 58 minutes, but it was an epic last 2 minutes. My God, Raiders. Yeah. That was
What a
bad.
horrible collapse that
I
was.
made Benjamin happy, though. I mean, Rams, I don't know if Rams fans are happy or not. Well, the Rams don't have any draft picks, so you don't care.
Oh, yeah, good point. They don't. Well,
You don't
whoever
have
has the Rams draft pick is upset.
Right. So, yeah.
Which would probably be the Lions, right?
Yeah.
Because of the trade with Stafford and Goff.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Rams don't care.
Yeah.
So Rams fans got to be happy.
Yeah.
If you don't have your first round pick, you're going to want to screw up somebody else's first round pick. So you don't want to tank. Derek Giants fan, thank you. Wasn't Malik projected to be a top 5 and got passed on twice by every team in the league? These fans make me question their IQ.
Anything could happen. Dyer, I'm not going to rule it out. Anything could happen, and we'll see as the offseason progresses. We'll see. But here's what I'm going to say. For every fan that thinks that Anthony Richardson is like Josh Allen physically, if he's viewed that way, the way that you view him, he's not getting to us. Teams are going to see the success rate of these quarterbacks that with these physical traits. And if he has a really good combine, he's not dropping to 20. He's going top 10 if teams view him the same way that you think the Giants should view him. He's not getting to us. You're going to have to trade up to get him if he impresses throughout the draft.
That's a good point, too.
He's not getting to us.
Because
you know how many teams need a quarterback picking in front of us?
Of course they do. And how many great so again, Bryce Young, he's going to the Texans. CJ Stroud is going to Carolina. Carolina don't have a quarterback.
Colts.
Right? The Colts need a quarterback, so you can throw Will Levis there. I don't know who's going to take who, but there's 3 right off the bat that need quarterbacks. Packers. The Packers could use a quarterback.
They might go with Love. But yes, it's possible. I'll tell you right now. I'll go to Tankathon. I'll tell you.
Atlanta needs a quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to start Ritter this week, but certainly could take a quarterback if they love one.
Right.
Here's the list. Houston, quarterback. We agree. Chicago's not going to go quarterback. Fields has looked good lately. Seattle could take a quarterback. I know Geno's played well this year, but Geno's 31, 32 years old. If they love a quarterback, they could take one. The Lions obviously could take a quarterback. Eagles won't take a quarterback. I can't believe they have the 5th pick right now. I'm so
That's
depressed.
because of the Saints.
Yeah. Carolina, 100% could take a quarterback. That's another team, right? So right now you've got Houston, you've got Seattle, you got the Lions, you got Carolina. Jacksonville, obviously, no. Arizona, no. Colts, yes. That's 5. Raiders, yes. That's 6. They could, right?
Yep.
Atlanta, 7. Green Bay, potentially 8. And maybe even New England. The way that Mac Jones has played this year.
Right.
They could. Washington, if we get over them in the playoffs, is another team. So, and Tampa, there's another one. So there's so many teams that could take a quarterback in this year's draft. So many.
Yep. I agree. That's why he's not good anyway. Benjamin, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. And again, whether he's good or not, putting him in this situation ain't helping him. It ain't helping any rookie quarterback.
Yeah. I saw somebody say the Saints, but the Saints don't have a first-round pick because the Eagles have it.
Yep. Benjamin, thank you, my friend. He says the Rams actually won. What's even crazier is Mayfield being the quarterback. In all seriousness, glad to see you feel better today. I appreciate it, Benjamin. Remember, I'm your guy to go through guy for all things slander. Oh, I know. I love it. Crack me up, Ben. Crack me up. But thank you, man. Yeah, I just didn't. I mean, like I said, if you were in the stream last night, I know Benjamin was, Dire Giants fan was. My mods usually are. I did not, even at the beginning of the game, I didn't have any energy. And then the game was bad. And then I went upstairs and I was just like sick. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I ended that when I did. And I took a shower and I felt a little better. And then I got some sleep. Like as soon as Louis T's like, oh, it's 11 o'clock, you guys can go. I was like, out. Normally I hang out longer, but I was like, I'm just going to bed. Like I was tired.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, long time no see, my friend. Good to see you up there in freezing cold Alaska.
He's the man.
Brilly. He says, I ain't going to lie. I turned on the game in the 4th quarter. McDaniels threw the red flag for a 4-yard pass, and I went back to hockey. Yeah. No,
he's a horrible head coach, man.
He is a horrible head coach. Oh, he's terrible. I don't know why he keeps getting job offers.
I think
he might be worse than Joe Judge.
I don't think he'll get fired at the end of this year, but it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me, man.
Yeah. Christopher, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Says, love you, Chris. Love channels. We just have different opinions. Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with it at all. I respect everybody's opinion. Baddog, we just personally don't think they should draft a quarterback.
I just think Anthony Richardson's not good. I don't. And I just, Christopher, my whole hang up is, again, you have to look at the situation a rookie quarterback will be stepping into.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. I mean, how do we, again, I'm not trying to make excuses. I don't make excuses. I'm not a guy that's defending Daniel Jones tooth and nail. But the owner of this franchise has come out and said, we have set this kid up for failure. The owner said we've given him no opportunity to succeed.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that this coaching staff or front office could do because we had no cap. There's no flexibility. All they could do is draft their guys that they didn't scout for the Giants. Brandon Brown is in Philadelphia in this, during the football season. He's not expecting to be a Giant. So when he's out scouting, he's looking at players for the Eagles. And same thing with Joe Shane. He's looking out for players for the Bills. The Giants, Dave Gettleman scouts are out there scouting for the Giants. So when Shane gets in here, they have, like I think Patty said, 8 weeks to get it together and pick their guys and do all this stuff. I would just like to see Daniel Jones have a chance with a number one wide receiver, a better offensive line, and a couple of years under the system. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
look at this, Daniel Jones being a rookie. I know we have to pay him more money, but it's kind of like
I'm not ruling it out that we could take a quarterback. It's possible.
I don't rule anything out.
I'm not ruling it out. I'm just telling you where I think they're leaning and what I think they should do. But we still have a whole offseason to see what happens. And it's more possible they take a quarterback this year than last. Like last year, I knew it wasn't going to happen because Jones was still under contract. It was a very poor quarterback draft class. Even though we had 2 picks inside the top 7, I knew it wasn't going to happen. This year, it's possible. Jones is not under contract right now. If they feel there is a quarterback that could be an elite quarterback that they could get, because they're not going to get C.J. Stroud. They can't get C.J. Stroud. They're not going to get Bryce Young, more than likely, those 2 guys. If they feel Anthony Richardson, possibly Will Levis, could be a upper echelon quarterback, it's possible we could trade up. But I feel like they have to feel that way. He's not going to trade up or draft a quarterback if he feels like they're just better than Jones. No,
but then you're trading up and you're mortgaging your future, and you can't build around the quarterback.
Exactly, with all the holes that we have.
Right.
So you better be completely sold on that guy. So I'm not ruling it out. If they feel Anthony Richardson could be the next Josh Allen, it's possible. If they feel Will Levis could be the next Josh Allen, whoever, I just don't think it's likely. I think they're going to bring back Jones. That's my hypothesis. I don't think it's going to be a 5-year commitment. I think it's going to be a short-term commitment, and they're going to see if he could grow. And it's going to be a trial, a year-by-year basis. That's where my head's at right now.
Yeah, I agree. I see people saying Rattler in the chat. I don't know if Rattler's drafted. I don't know if Spencer Rattler has declared himself eligible for the draft. Spencer Rattler's not it. Spencer Rattler's not it. I know he had a good game against Tennessee. Everybody had a good game against Tennessee offensively. Okay, Tennessee had no defense. Tennessee was SEC's version of Oklahoma, as is USC is the Pac-12's version of Oklahoma. The USC fans should not be surprised about what happened to USC, okay? Lincoln Riley does not know anything about defense. All he did is take his players from Oklahoma and move them to USC. What do you think is going to happen? Lincoln Riley has never won a freaking big game in his life, ever. He better win next year, because when Caleb Williams goes, he's not getting a better quarterback than Caleb Williams. And he's got Jordan Addison and Mario Williams. He's got great freaking receivers. USC couldn't win. They couldn't beat Utah. Utah beat them twice because Utah's physical. You can out-physical Lincoln Riley's teams. Caleb Williams played great. Bloody freaking hand, threw over 363 yards. That's my guy. That's been my guy.
Yeah.
But same thing with freaking people talking about Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is a gadget quarterback. All Tennessee does, no huddle, 11 play. They have 11 plays on the wristband. That's it. 11. Yeah. Well, you're going to have to know a lot more than 11 plays in the NFL. And you can't just drop back in a hurry up and just chuck the ball down the field every time. That's not the way you play. That's why Urban Meyer's system, you look at every quarterback in Florida and all the quarterbacks at Ohio State that won Heisman's that were great players did not translate to the NFL because you keep the spread offense doesn't work there. You don't play like that. That's one reason the Giants took Daniel Jones. And I'm not saying that Daniel Jones has been fantastic because we all know, we've seen my videos, okay? But Daniel Jones is more NFL ready according to the Giants because he played in an NFL system. It certainly benefits a quarterback when they play from the pocket. It's just the way it is. So I don't know, man. We'll see. The Giants I'll be shocked if they take a quarterback. I'll be shocked.
I'm not going to use the term shocked, but I'd be surprised. Last year I would have been shocked. But the thing is, we're going to know before the draft if they're taking a quarterback. Because if they don't keep Daniel Jones, I mean, what other – I feel like they have – that's the other thing, Bad Dog. If they don't keep Daniel Jones and they don't sign anybody, they kind of tip their hand what they're going to do in the draft. And it's going to probably be harder for them to trade up because teams are going to know how desperate they are to get a quarterback. And they have to jump all these other teams. I don't know. I think they're going to stick with Jones. I really do. If the other thing is, if Jones is maybe there's a deal out there for him that the Giants just aren't willing to match. But if they come to terms, I think they're keeping Jones.
Put it this way. I think the Giants are going to offer him a contract. Now, if somebody else offers him more and he leaves, that's a possibility. But I do think the Giants will not just let the guy go.
Yeah.
I think they'll discuss something. But Will, thank you. He says, I think the problem with the fan base is this draft class and saw next year instantly want a DJ out of here. Franchise quarterbacks are super hard to find. And Chris and I have talked about this. We've gone through top 10 quarterbacks in the last few. I mean, Sam Darnold was a top 3 quarterback. How did he do? Mark Sanchez was a top 5 quarterback. As the Jets fans, where was Zach Wilson drafted? Where was Sam Darnold drafted? Where was Mark Sanchez drafted? They're all
second, third, and fifth.
And they're ready to get rid of Zach Wilson already. None of them panned out. How about Jamarcus Russell? How did he work out? How's Baker Mayfield working out? Number 1 overall pick in the draft. Right? How are these guys working out? These are the top picks. How did Ryan Leaf work out?
They don't want the crappy situations.
You know?
That doesn't help.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, listen.
So he's right. Franchise quarterbacks are super hard to find. So I'm willing to take my chances with which I would not have said at the beginning of the year, but watching the way Jones has played, the way he commands a huddle, the way he has player respect, the way he works, and just there's nothing around him. People like the quarterback has to elevate the players. I'll be honest. I think Daniel Jones has elevated this group as much as a quarterback can. There's nothing there. Sometimes the players have to help the quarterback too.
Yeah, I mean, like, let me ask you. I'm going to pull up his stats. Hold on.
But, Will, you're right. Franchise quarterbacks are super hard to find. That's why I'd rather stick with Daniel Jones for a couple more years just to see if you build a team around him, if he can elevate himself.
And the worst case scenario, he doesn't, and you set up your next quarterback for better success.
Right. We're not looking to sign him like 7 years.
All right. So Darius Slayton didn't really start getting reps until the Green Bay game. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In 8 games, Darius Slayton has 500, and that's crazy. 8 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In 8 games, he has 550 yards.
Yeah.
You tell me Daniel Jones, that's elevating. Do you think that Darius Slayton is a 1,200-yard receiver? Because that's what he's pacing out to do had he played a 17-game season.
Right.
That's elevating because I'm telling you right now, Darius Slayton is not a 1,200-yard receiver. So that's elevating to me.
Right. Joshua says, Spencer taking South Carolina to the promised land. Well, you need 2 sides of the ball. I will say this. If you are a Gamecocks fan, you had a hell of an end to your season. South Carolina had a great ending. They kicked the ever-loving shit out of Tennessee, and you beat Clemson for the first time in God knows how long. And Rattler did have a lot to do with that. Rattler played very well down the stretch. I don't want Spencer Rattler on the Giants. Sorry. I just don't. And I watched him play at Oklahoma, so I know all about Spencer Rattler. There's a reason he got benched for Caleb Williams. And it's not because I knew Caleb Williams was going to be what Caleb Williams is. It's because Spencer Rattler was terrible in the game against Texas, and he got pulled. And Lincoln Riley said, go in there. And then Caleb Williams came back. I forgot how far back they were. It was like 24-0 or 24-3. And Caleb Williams brought him back and won the game, and that was it. Caleb Williams had the starting job, and that was it. Andrew, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. How about sitting AR a year, roll with Tyrod, gain talent for a year, and unleash in 2024? His ceiling is so high, he just needs to learn the game and polish. Why is his ceiling high? Because he can run and throw. Every quarterback in the league can do that. What is so high about Anthony Richardson's ceiling? And again, like Chris said, if you're trading up to get Anthony Richardson,
you're not going to have a pick in the fall.
How are you building the talent? How are you gaining talent?
You're going to use your first round pick on him, and you're going to probably lose your first round pick in the following draft.
Right. At least you're going to lose more than one.
It depends on how you have to move up. But
we just said 8 teams that it could take a quarterback.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if they take him, they take him, and I hope that he turns out to be the next great thing. But
so what you're saying, Andrew, is okay. Brian Daboll, Kafka, Joe Shane, Brandon Brown, they go to the team and they say, "Listen, guys, we're dumping Daniel Jones. We don't like him. We're going to draft a quarterback, and we're going to sit him for a year. So we're going to have you guys suck for an entire year with Tyrod Taylor, and we're going to build talent around Tyrod Taylor. I mean, we're going to get your asses out of here for other players so that we can start the rookie the next year." So pretty much you're going into your team and saying, we're throwing 2023 away.
So I see Ron Juan say Anthony Richards should be available in round 2. If that's the case, and maybe he will be, and I know some of the mock drafts say that right now, but if that's the case, his physical skill set is not near Josh Allen. Because I don't care what your college stats say, if his physical skill set, if his raw tools are as high as Josh Allen, there ain't no chance in hell he's going in the second round.
There's a couple more quarterbacks, by the way, that got drafted in the top 5 recently. Jared Goff, how good?
He went first.
How good is he?
Put up good stats with the Rams, but obviously they didn't think too highly of him. They got him out of there.
Right.
Carson Wentz.
Were those guys worth the number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft?
And they traded up a ton to get Carson Wentz. Obviously, It worked out for them in the long run because they got
Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with that team.
Yeah.
So they didn't need Carson Wentz, did they?
Yeah.
Carson Wentz had one really good year.
He had a great year.
Right. He should have won if he didn't get hurt, he wins the MVP that year. But he got hurt. And you could sit there and tank and you could get the best quarterback you think, but if he gets hurt, what the hell happens? You don't know.
So I see D saying he's more athletic than Allen by far. And maybe I've watched some of him, and he is athletic. He does make some highlight plays. I don't think his arm's as good as Josh Allen, but he does have a very good arm. But if his tools are as good as Josh Allen or approaching Josh Allen's, it's going to show up on the tape, and it's going to show up at the combine. There ain't no chance in hell he's going to the second round if that's the case. Josh Allen has – Baddog, is it fair to say that Josh Allen has the type of talent that you see, if you're lucky, once every 5 drafts at the quarterback position?
He's probably the most overall talented quarterback in the league.
If
you take his physical size, his ability to scramble, his arm strength, and just the way he plays.
So yeah, and these scouts, people, you don't think the scouts are going to see what you think you're seeing? If they see it, he ain't getting to the second round. He ain't getting where the Giants are picking. If people feel Josh Allen went what? 7th to the Bills.
So, and they traded up to get him.
And that, by the way, was thought to be on draft night the best quarterback draft class in like a decade. And he was in the discussion with every quarterback in that class to be the best one by the time the draft came around because he impressed at the combine, yada, yada, yada. So if Anthony Richardson is as impressive as him from just physical tools, he ain't getting to the second round. Right. He ain't getting outside the top 10.
Right. Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, we need to take this guy.
And if he does get to us, then they don't view him as good as high as Josh Allen in terms of the physical tools.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, all that was show. But a guy that completes, I mean, I can tell you, Kyle Trask's numbers probably blow Anthony Richardson's numbers away.
Numbers don't mean much to me, though. If
They
I'm
don't
being
mean
honest.
anything in college football. I always
Yeah.
use Graham Harrell as an example. Look
Yeah.
up Graham Harrell at Texas A&M. The man threw for over 11,000 yards and over 100 touchdowns his last 2 years at Texas Tech. Man played 4 snaps in the NFL.
Yeah.
Colt Brennan out of Hawaii is another one. Massive stats. Nothing. But
I think he is a project.
I've never been an Anthony Richardson guy.
I think he is a project, Ron, but I think the way that the modern day general manager looks at it, especially after you saw the success with Pat Mahomes, who was thought to be a project, you look at the success with Josh Allen, I think more and more GMs are going to look at it like, well, if we have the coaching, he's got the raw physical tools, we're going to take a shot at this guy. So if he's as good as people make him out to be in terms of just his raw physical tools, he ain't getting to the second round. There's no chance.
Again, Chris, we talked about this. Kansas City, in their situation, could afford to draft a project because they were in the playoffs every freaking year. Pat Mahomes came into not that Pat Mahomes isn't ultra talented. I watched a man put up over 800 yards total against Oklahoma in one of the best games I've ever watched. Or Baker Mayfield had a great game that day too. Oklahoma won 66-59, but you could see it. But he went to arguably the best situation in the NFL, and he sat for a year. And why Alex Smith was winning 11 and 12 games every year with that team. They could afford it. The Bills almost made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor.
No, they did make the playoffs with Tyrod.
They did make the playoffs. That's right. They made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor for the first time in years.
Yeah.
They were also set up. And Josh Allen came in there and he struggled. And then they were one receiver away. And then there it is. The Giants are not close to where Kansas City was when they traded up to get Pat Mahomes and where
49ers with Trey Lance.
Right. Oh, by the way, Chris, here's another top 10 quarterback that was traded. What about Josh Rosen? Whatever happened to him?
Oh, God.
There was talk about him going first overall in that draft. Where's he? Where's Johnny Manziel?
Well, most first-round quarterbacks fail.
That's what I'm saying. So why are we all, got to get rid of Daniel Jones. We got to trade up and get – I don't understand it.
I'd rather just fill out the rest of the team. But again, I'm not going to fault Shane if he does it. I'm just going to hold.
I'm not going to – if Shane drafted Anthony Richardson, I'm not going to sit here and throw a fit.
Yeah.
I have to believe in what they're doing. They know what they're doing. I have to give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
Michael Dangy, he says, screw the draft, beat Philly, make the playoffs. I agree.
I'm with you.
I agree.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Let's make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm make the playoffs. We got to beat Washington. That's really the team we got to beat. Jeremiah, you're the man. Thank you, brother. It says people are delusional if they think AR-15, Williams, all these cats can come into the NFL and play. There are 2 NFL quarterbacks in college right now. Sam Hartman in Wake Forest and Drake May in North Carolina.
I think Caleb Williams is actually
good. Caleb Williams is really good.
I'm a big fan of
Caleb Williams is fantastic.
And I'm a big fan of Drake May also. I've watched 2 of his games. I think he's a really good prospect too, but he doesn't come out this year either. I haven't seen Sam Hartman. I know Wake Forest was ranked pretty high at the beginning of the year, but
Hartman had I forgot what game it was. I don't know if it was against Purdue. I forgot who, but man, he had a huge. He threw for like 400 yards and a half.
I haven't gotten a chance to watch his.
Yeah, I was like the only game I paid attention to Sam Hartman. Drake May is good, but
yeah, I think Drake May is very good. But I think Caleb Williams, from what I've seen, is the only. And I haven't seen every college quarterback. But out of the ones that I've watched, and I've probably seen about 6 USC games just because I love watching Caleb Williams play so much, he's the one that's impressed me the most. Caleb Williams to me looks like he could step into the NFL next year and be a good quarterback.
Caleb Williams is every tool you want.
Yeah, he's really good.
Tool, he has it. And not the physical gifts, not just the speed, the ability to scramble, the arm strength is stupid. Yeah. The accuracy is ridiculous. The man can play, but it's here. And I'll always go back to that game against Kansas where Oklahoma had it 4th and 2 from their own 50, and they were going to lose to Kansas for crying out loud. They handed the ball off. Running back was stuffed. Kansas was getting the ball back. Nope. Caleb Williams saw his running back was getting shoved back, ripped the ball out of his own player's hands, and advanced it for a first down and won the game for Oklahoma. And I said, that is an 18-year-old true freshman that just had that football IQ. This is something that doesn't go – people don't think about this enough. There's plenty of quarterbacks that have great physical talent, but if you can't read defenses, Colin Kaepernick is one. I don't know if I've ever seen – I mean, Colin Kaepernick's skill level was stupid. He wasn't the most accurate guy. But again, I felt like he was a rich man's Randall Cunningham. Rocket arm, super strong, super fast. I loved watching Nevada just to watch Colin Kaepernick play. I'm like, Nevada's on. It's like 11 o'clock on a Thursday. They're playing Hawaii or they're playing Montana. I'm like, I don't give a damn. I want to watch this kid play. And I thought Kaepernick was going to be great, but Kaepernick
He didn't have the touch on his passes.
he was inaccurate. He never really figured that out. But he never really had a chance. He couldn't read defenses. It was a big problem with Kaepernick. And his head was a big problem. But physically, the man was incredible. And I loved Kaepernick. I was a big Kaepernick guy. He led the Niners to a Super Bowl.
Oh, he was great. I mean, he was great when he first came into the league.
He was. But again, that just goes to show you Kaepernick had some of the best physical skills at that time in the NFL, but
he kind of reminded me of Vic.
Right. Once defenses kind of got a read on what he was doing and got film on him, he never made the adjustment because that's what's going to happen.
He was a right-handed Vic, but Vic was better, I think. But a similar type of quarterback.
Right. Once NFLs get a book on you and they get film, it's quarterback's job to adjust. Not every quarterback can make that adjustment.
Yeah.
You know. JV, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says, I'm okay. I suffered through Kent Graham, Dave Brown, Danny Kanell, and Kerry Collins for 10 years. So do we.
Does Kerry Collins count as suffering? I always thought Kerry Collins was
to a Super Bowl. He brought us to the playoffs a couple of years.
Kerry Collins was a good quarterback. I don't think he was a great quarterback.
I mean, Kent Graham and Dave Brown. Danny Kanell, he wasn't great, but we did make the playoffs with Danny Kanell.
Those other three guys weren't good, but Kerry Collins was good.
Kerry Collins was good.
He was good.
The other three guys did suck.
I thought Collins was at least a borderline top 10 quarterback while he was a Giant.
He was good.
He had a couple of 4,000-yard seasons, I think.
He was good.
Yeah.
Will, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I think the other issue is I love DJ, but let's keep it real. The fans who want another quarterback did not want DJ at the 6th pick. That's where I didn't want Daniel Jones. I've said this before. 10 million people saw Chris and I's reaction to that. Maybe not that. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating. I don't know. Millions of people. Went viral, okay? Millions of people. A lot of people found my channel because of that reaction, okay? Millions of people saw it. I was a massive advocate against the pick. And even going into this year, I was like, he ain't coming back. Last year, I wanted him gone. Okay? I'm like, I'm done with him. I can't do it anymore. This year, it's a completely different story because I've seen him grow. Does he put up great stats? No. But he's gotten better at certain things. He's gotten better at climbing the pocket. He's gotten better at not fumbling the ball. He still makes some bad decisions. He still misses throws. Tom Brady misses throws. I'm not comparing the two, but I'm saying it's going to happen. The difference is when Daniel Jones misses a throw, it's like, oh my God, he sucks. I told you he's terrible. The guy getting 19 in a row, Chris, but 4th and 3, he's under pressure and he misses a wide open guy. He didn't look over there. He sucks. They kill him
because they want him out of here. So they overreact to any chance that they get. And I get it. They want him out of here, but I don't know. I it would be easy for us, by the way, because we say it all the time. If Daniel Jones succeeds, we're going to look like the biggest idiots in the world for our draft day reactions because that's what people will always go back to. And it would be easy for us to just revert back to that and say, we told you guys he was never going to work out. But we tell you the truth. we don't believe in moving on from Daniel Jones at the end of this year based off what we've seen this year.
Right.
We don't believe in it. I don't.
We also are not here. We're not also don't believe in giving him a 7-year, $240 million contract.
No.
We don't believe in giving him that either. We're not looking to give him Kyler Murray money, Pat Mahomes money, Russell Wilson money. We're not looking to do that. But a 3-year deal, the option to get out after 2. And if he does revert back or the Giants do build better players around him and we're still stuck in this, well, then you go, okay, we tried. We gave him an opportunity and it doesn't work. Now we're moving on after 2 years.
But we'll see. Like I said, what I'll say is if the Giants draft a quarterback, I'm going to be excited because the reason I will be excited, I think Joe Shane's a smart guy.
So do I.
And I think Joe Shane knows that if he trades up for a quarterback with all the other holes on this team, he has to be head over heels in love with that guy. So I'll be excited because I'll say to myself, well, Joe Shane's not dumb. He sees that we need all these pieces. And if he's willing to give up all that draft capital to go up and get a quarterback, he must be head over heels in love with him. And I'm going to hold that quarterback to a high standard by year 3. He better be upper echelon. Otherwise, Joe Shane's in trouble. But I'll be excited because I'll say to myself, he must feel this guy's going to be a top 4 or 5 quarterback in the league if he's willing to do that.
Agreed.
With everything that this team needs. So we'll see.
JC, thank you. He says, is Barkley replaceable? Would you trade for a draft or receiver? Is he replaceable? Yeah, I think everybody's replaceable.
They're going to tag Barkley. They're not. I thought at one point he was going to get a 3-year commitment. He still might, but he's not going to get it at the dollar amount that I thought he was capable of getting, say, 5 or 6 weeks ago. That's kind of where I stand right now. I don't think they're going to just let him walk. I think they're going to tag him. And then I think things may get messy because I think that he's going to want, and as he should, like you said, like we've said, it's his one shot at a contract. He's a running back. So he's going to try to get as much as he can. It could get messy. The negotiations could get messy because I'm telling you right now, there is no way in hell Joe Shane's giving him Christian McCaffrey money. He's not getting it.
No.
So we'll see if they can meet in the middle. But I definitely think he'll at least get tagged. And then if things don't improve, we'll see. Maybe they'll tag and trade him, or maybe he'll be able to meet them in the middle, and they'll sign him to a reasonable 3-year contract. But I don't. Maybe he gets 3 years, $35 million, something like that. But I don't think he's going to get a 4-year, $60 million contract. I just don't.
All right, I agree. So Ron Juan, there's a couple of comments I want to get to from him. The problem with Daniel Jones is he has quarterback moments. He's a quarterback of moments. When it comes to consistently making plays to help his team win, he just doesn't do it okay. He had 5 game-winning drives this year. But what I'm going to say this to you, Ron, is this. How consistent is the team around Daniel Jones? Can he really be consistent with 3 offensive coordinators, 3 head coaches, new GM, rotating offensive linemen, and freaking Home Depot workers and car washers that he's throwing to? How consistent can he be with that around him? There's no consistency around him. How can you expect him to be consistent? And again, helping the team win, we won 5 games because of Daniel Jones. 5. It's more than anybody else in the league this year. So he obviously he's won when it mattered. Does he still make mistakes? Yes. Is he a top 10 quarterback? No. Is he better than Russell Wilson? Would you rather have Russell Wilson on the contract? I wouldn't. Would you rather have Derek Carr? I wouldn't. Would you rather have Jared Goff? I wouldn't. Matt Ryan? No, thank you. There's a lot. Zach Wilson? You want Geno Smith? I don't.
Geno's playing well this year, but Geno has a much better situation. And he's been in that offense now, I think, for 3 years.
Give Daniel Jones, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf.
And have him playing the same offense for 3 straight years, like Geno.
You know what I mean? And that leads me to this one. The Giants have been scouting quarterbacks since the start of the season. That says a lot right there. What it says is they're doing their due diligence. Do you think that they're going to go and just not scout anybody?
Well, yeah.
We got.
What I'll say, Baddog, is at the beginning of the year, I actually know this for a fact. Well, I shouldn't say for a fact. Bobby Skinner generally has a pretty good. I don't know who his source is, but he told me that they were going to trade.
They also didn't pick up his 5th-year option.
They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so that was a telltale sign. But Bobby knows somebody. I don't ask him who. He knows somebody inside, not a beat reporter. Like, he knows somebody in the facility for the New York Giants that gives him information every now and again. I know for a fact, before the year started, the New York Giants planned to move on from Daniel Jones. Before the year started. So I'm not surprised that they were scouting. And even if they wanted to keep Jones, I still think they should be scouting quarterbacks because you have to prepare for every scenario. But I also know for a fact, based on what Bobby told me, Joe Shane went into the year thinking full well that the Giants were going to win 5 games at most.
Yep.
He thought they were going to be picking top 6 or 7, and they were going to be in the market for a quarterback. Sometimes your plans change. But Baddog, what I see on Twitter all the time is people tell me that, he went to the Ohio State game, so he's looking at a quarterback. Ohio State is like 50 players that are going to the pros.
Right, all those wide receivers.
I look at the wide receivers, or when he goes to Tennessee, it doesn't mean he's looking at the quarterback. He could be looking at the wide receiver. Like, just because he's at a game where there's a good quarterback, that he's scouting everybody. That's his job. He has to prepare for every possible situation. And I won't be shocked if they draft a quarterback, but just because he's at an Ohio State game doesn't mean that he's there strictly for CJ Stroud.
Why? Just because they go to any college, they're there to scout everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe they did. Maybe you go looking for one guy and somebody else pops up on your radar and you go, wow, that guy's impressive. Let's keep an eye on him. You know, I don't know. I agree with too. Stroud's overrated. I tend to agree. I just don't like Ohio State quarterbacks, but I tend to agree. I'm not saying Stroud is going to be bad, but he shrinks in big spots. He did not play well against Rutgers. He did not play. Not that Rutgers is a big spot, but he didn't play well. Or not Rutgers. I'm sorry, Northwestern played terrible in that game. Played terrible against Michigan. Yeah, I don't like CJ Stroud. I don't know. I'm not. The more this Stroud, Bryce Young, like all these guys are hyped up, and like when I watch them play this year, they kind of went down a little bit.
I like Stroud. I don't love Stroud. I like Stroud. I think Stroud's, and again, who knows? We're just guessing, but
absolutely.
The game that really I didn't like. We've talked about it, and it was extreme weather conditions. I'm not going to deny that. The wind was really strong in that Northwestern game. But when I saw the way that he handled that, both with and against the wind, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if CJ Stroud is all he's hyped up to be in terms of his physical skill set. And listen, I think he's got great footwork. I think he's got good touch. But again, Ohio State, I mean, look, Marvin Harrison Jr. is like the best wide receiving prospect I've seen in 10 years. I don't know. I'm not. I like him, but I'm not in love with him. I'm not in love with CJ Stroud.
Ron says, we know it's not just due diligence. The team with a bona fide quarterback does not scout for his replacement. The Chiefs. Mahomes got 10 years. The Chiefs are in a different situation. Mahomes is locked up for 10 years. Why would they scout a quarterback? 10 years. Daniel Jones is not there for 10 years.
Yeah, Ron, I mean, I think every team that does, there's probably about 7 or 8 teams who should not be scouting quarterbacks at all.
Bills aren't?
The Bills, the Chiefs. Before the year, the Dolphins should have been. Now they're not, the way Tua is played.
The Chargers, the Bengals.
Chargers, Bengals. Now probably the Eagles. They're probably going to stick with Hurts. But before the year, they should have been scouting quarterbacks.
You could even see Baltimore scouting a quarterback.
Definitely could be. He's not. Lamar's not signed under contract yet.
And he's a bona fide franchise quarterback, but they may say, we're not bringing him back. We're going to
Jaguars. They just drafted Lawrence.
Yeah, they're not drafting.
So but most teams are going to be scouting quarterbacks.
Right.
So I'm not. He should be scouting quarterbacks. He should be preparing himself for every possible situation.
Right. I agree. And yeah, Stroud has 3 receivers who should go in the first and second. He still can. I agree. He's got some of the best wide receivers in the country. You know, there's no.
I'll tell you what. I was a bigger Stroud guy before the year started than a Young guy. I have Young ahead of Stroud now.
I was the other way around, and I still have Young ahead of Stroud. But a Young kind of slipped that. Young is going to be a Texan anyway. He's going to the Texans.
He's really the one thing I'll say about Bryce Young. He reminds me so much of Russell Wilson. Like he's super intelligent with the way I'm a fan of his. I like, but he's grown on me more. I like Bryce Young. I think he's going to be the first quarterback drafted.
I do too.
Yeah.
Look at that situation.
We're not getting him, but
but look at the situation he's about to walk into.
Oh,
not successful.
He's dead if he goes to Houston.
He's going to Houston.
First 2 years, he's dead. Maybe they build it, but the first 2 years, he's dead.
Yeah, exactly. Joshua, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says, I don't believe DJ's the guy yet, but definitely will give him another year with hopefully better weapons. Well, you can't franchise him because then the Giants have to pay the guy $32 million and they can't move the money around, and there goes all of our cap space. So they're not going to tag him. So you're going to have to either let him go or you're going to have to give him more. Then you're going to have to give him at least 3 years. But you can give him 3 years and get out after 2, and I'm willing to do that. And then if Daniel Jones blows it up in 2 years, you extend him. If he stinks, you have to look for an alternative.
You draft a quarterback or you whatever. You keep pushing forward if there's nobody to draft and maybe you sign a free. I don't know, but you worry about that when you get there. But we'll see. We'll see. We're going to know before the draft because they're going to have to sign him well before it if he's coming back with the Giants. Because I assure you, if they let him hit the open market, Dan Jones getting signed to be a starting quarterback somewhere in the NFL. I promise you that.
Yeah. By a lot, like those 8 teams that we mentioned.
Somebody's going to sign him.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. He will
Yep.
get signed to be a starting quarterback if the Giants don't sign him.
Irish, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Hi, guys. I am not a hater by no means. Neither am I. I criticize Daniel Jones. Don't make you a hater because you criticize. Hating is no matter what the guy does, you just you overlook everything good that he does and just focus on the bad. That's hating on somebody. You know, having an opinion on a guy or saying he doesn't do this well or doesn't do that well, that's not hating. That's just, this is what I see. My concern is EJ is an unrestricted free agent. The ball's in Jones's court. There will be teams who court DJ may offer more than Shane will pay. Well, there you go. We just talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Irish, I think it's entirely possible. You know, like people talk that Daniel Jones didn't talk with Joe Shane at the bye, his representatives. It's entirely possible that Daniel Jones didn't want to talk to Joe Shane because he might be like, listen, I want to see what my market's like at the end of the year. We're 7-2 or whatever they were at the bye. We're playing well. So we'll see. I mean, there may be a team that's, listen, we've seen Brock Osweiler get ridiculous money. I mean, all it takes is one team to see his physical skill set. Matt Flynn. And give him a ridiculous contract. So I think if the Giants want to bring Jones back, they got to do it quick. They got to, and they'll have they'll obviously get the first licks at him.
Yep.
But they got to do it quick. I think they're gonna have to do it. I think here's what I'm gonna say. I think at the end of the season, not that I think he'll be signed at the end of the season, but at the end of the season with the closing press conferences, we'll have a very good idea whether or not he's coming back. Just based off of what Mara says, what Shane says, what Dable says. I think we'll know by like the week after because don't they normally do that? Like they have a press conference like a couple days after the end of the season.
Yeah.
They talk about, I think after that, we'll know whether or not he's coming back. I think you'll have a general idea, but I think he's coming back, but we'll see. Jeremiah,
thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. 3 things. Name a wide receiver that Daniel Jones has that would start for any team with decent wide receiver depth. We've done that before. Nobody. Maybe Darius Slayton. Maybe.
I don't even think him. Now, I think Slayton could start in other places.
Right.
But for a good team, he's not starting.
He's not starting for the Cowboys. He's not starting for the Eagles. He's not starting for Miami or Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So,
Slayton might be like a top
5,
50, 40 receiver, 50 receiver. Like,
yeah, top 5. Like he'd be a 4 receiver on teams probably.
He's a wide receiver 3 at best on a good team. And I don't even think he's that. But at best, a wide receiver 3 on a good team.
Number 2, not one NFL team has won the Super Bowl with a quarterback making 13% of their cap space since Steve Young did it. And I think that was the last year they didn't even implement the cap. It was 94. I think that was the year that they didn't have a cap. So
I've actually done this. I'm going to pull it up again, but
and I like the last one. It's only 14 in Alaska. Damn. It's actually been warm here for upstate New York. It's been in like the low 50s and high 40s. That's cold. My guy, Jeremiah, that's why he grows that amazing beard. I'm telling you, man, Jeremiah and Dyer Giants fan got 2 of the best beards there is. They do. Right? Their beard game is on point.
So here's the list, Baddog. This is the list for quarterbacks that have reached the Super Bowl with over 10% of the cap. Eli Manning, 2007, 10.75. Tom Brady, 2011, which he lost to the Giants, 10.76. Tom Brady, 2014, 11.13. Eli Manning, 2011, 11.71. Peyton Manning, 2015, Denver Broncos. That was the year he sucked, but they had the great defense, 12.21. Brady, 2018. Brady, 2021. Peyton, 2013. So far, I've said 3 names. I've said Eli, Brady, and Peyton. And Peyton's one of the 2 remaining names left. The other one's Matt Ryan, who lost in the Super Bowl. So there has only been 4 quarterbacks, individuals, in the history of the NFL that have made a Super Bowl that have made over 10% of the team's salary cap. That's Matt Ryan, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and Tom Brady. That's it.
All 4 more Hall of Famers.
That's it.
Yep. Ain't easy. Hey, Joshua, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. He says, I would do 3 for 70 to 75 out after 2. Yeah, 70, 75, between 70 and 80 million. I think that gets it done. Maybe 3
I think
years.
that's where he's at. I think that's his market.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
what I
3 years, 84 million, maybe 28 million a year. Maybe you're in that area. Maybe that's like the top of the line.
Well, 25 million, people hear that. It's not that much for.
No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe 28 million. You give him 3 years,
I
84
think we
million.
get him for. I think we get him for like 24, 25, which is about half of what a franchise gets paid on a per year basis by today's market. That's, to me, 25 is kind of what you get paid if you're good enough to continue being a starter, but not good enough to get a long term commitment.
Right.
Like the Ryan Tannehills of the world. Like that's what I think Daniel Jones' market is.
Chris Devers, my friend, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, "What up, guys? I just want to say we them boys. I think you guys are beating the Eagles the next time I play them. I do.
Hopefully,
I might go out on a limb and say, I don't know if the Cowboys lose another game the rest of the year.
Yeah.
They have 3 games against the AFC South. Before the year started, I said they were going to beat Philly in Dallas. I gave them a split. I think they beat Washington the last game of the season because it might mean the division. I don't know if Dallas loses another game the rest of the year.
So somebody say Tannehill got a long-term. I have to look at Tannehill's contracts.
No, didn't Tannehill get like 2 years?
Yeah, he got 4 for 118. So
Okay.
he did. He got a 3-year commitment. They could get out after 3. He got a 3-year commitment
After a couple of AFC championship games and the #1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, he got a 4-year contract, which I'm surprised. I thought it was a 3-year, but yes, he did get a 4-year contract. His first year with the Titans though was just like a prove it year, and then he got the 4-year extension. He did, which was a 3-year commitment.
Yep. Chris, thank you again, my friend. He says, Baddog tried your bicep set. It was very nice. Thank you. You talking about the behind the back one that builds the peak, which is this section, the long head of this part, the one that where I'm behind the back and I pull it up, it builds the long head of your bicep. Yeah, that's something I learned from Jim Stepani. Was that I never knew. Like I had to learn a lot. That's how I got as lean as I did, was learning how to eat was a big one, but learning all these different exercises. Like I never thought about behind the back is building your biceps peak. I never knew any of that stuff. I usually just did curls. I didn't realize, and hammer curls, but I never realized like that. Or you can do it where Chris, you can also do it when you're angled on the bench, laying back, angled, and you can bring them behind you like that. You can do it that way. That works too. But yeah, I figured I would show that. I like to put my stuff on Instagram. I have a phone.
Listen, if I was built like you, I'd be doing the same thing.
I don't put that much on Instagram. I really want to get back to once the football season's over, I'll get back to put more stuff on my fitness channel. I haven't used it in a while, but I've said before, it's hard to come up with fitness stuff every day. Yeah. I could show something in the gym every day. One of these days, I'll show you the way I make milkshakes. I found out all these recipes, like how to make peanut butter cheesecake and all this other stuff with no fat and very little calories. Just it's yogurt, it's low fat cream cheese, it's almond milk and whey protein, and you garnish it with a small candy bar or like a Butterfinger and some PB Fit. And bang, it's amazing. It's good. Savon, thank you, my friend, for the $2. Boom, shakalaka. Appreciate that. But yeah, man. It's just funny. All this draft talk, and we're 7-4-1. And if we beat Washington, we're pretty much in the playoffs. And I understood it. The last few years,
I understand. If we lose to Washington, I understand it.
Right. If we're
before that game, that's the game. Even if we lose this week, Washington is this season.
I agree.
That's the
even if we win this week, Washington is the season.
Yeah, if we win this week and lose to Washington, we still have a really good chance to make the playoffs. But we're gonna have to do a couple things. But
still be tough.
It's gonna be tough. You're gonna have to beat the Colts, and then you'd probably have to beat the Eagles last week if they rest their starters. That would be the ticket in. Unless Seattle falls apart, which is possible.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's it's crazy. But I understood it. Most Decembers we are talking about the draft because we're 3-11.
I think it's a rare year though where like there is so much uncertainty. Because Jones is not under contract. You have a new GM
not under contract. I get it. But as far as like, can we just kind of enjoy what's going on? Yeah. And listen, the last 3 games, we haven't been good. Yeah. And I would have got it. I would have got it if we started 7-2 and then we had the stretch and we started talking about the draft. But we've been talking about it even when we were 5-1. People were like, yeah, suck. 6-1, suck. We can't maintain, and it doesn't look like we could sustain it. But still, couldn't we enjoy being 6-1? Couldn't we enjoy being 7-2? Can't we beat Washington and enjoy going to the playoffs, even if we get our heads beat in by whoever wins the NFC West? Couldn't we just enjoy it and worry about the draft in April?
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, after the season's over, the first thing I'm going to be concerned with is what they do with Jones and Barkley, because that's going to tell you everything.
Yeah.
Before you even start thinking about what they're going to do in the draft, they're going to tell you what they're going to do in the draft.
Yeah.
If they don't keep Jones, they're going to draft a quarterback. If they keep Jones, they're not. It's that
right.
simple.
Yeah.
So you'll know before the draft what they're going to do with the quarterback position.
Somebody asked me, I do not eat steak. I used to. I don't unless it's my cheat day. Then I'll have a steak. But steak, very high in protein, but it's also very fatty. And I really do not eat a lot of fat. My meat sources are 99% fat-free ground turkey and grilled chicken. That is really where it is. Protein pancakes, yogurt, fruits, and vegetables, and protein shakes. Egg whites. I live on egg whites. When I really want to have an extremely low-calorie day, like 1,300 calories, egg whites are my dinner. I have 24, or what is it, a cup and a half. And it's the equivalent of like 12 to 15 eggs. That's my dinner. 200 calories. That's it. So, but I don't eat steak because of the amount of fat. Because I just want to be lean. Like Chris says, I'm 6 foot 240, bench 360, and dead 640. My tank. That's a big boy. See, I can't carry that like that. It doesn't work for me. I have to be lean. It's just my genetics make me be a lean guy. So that's the way I built myself. But I can't do that. I can't bench 360. I can't dead 640. I can't do that stuff.
Yeah, that's a crazy number right there.
Right, he's a big ass. But look at him.
Yeah, he's a monster.
The dude usually be playing for the Cowboys. Actually, Chris, what are you doing? We could use a fullback. you mind playing for the Giants for like
he's got
minimum?
the dimensions to play a linebacker, perhaps.
It depends. He's got to be fast though. I don't know how fast he is.
Yeah, but 6'4", 240, that's good linebacker size.
That's good fullback size. Chris Stevens would be he'd be a good fullback.
You think he's more of a fullback?
Yeah, 6 foot like Mike Allstott.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I could see that.
Allstott's one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah, Moose Johnston. He's a Cowboys fan. Let's give him Moose.
I love the old school fullbacks.
Yeah, he could do
what,
that.
What was the Niners guy? Rathman? William Floyd with the Niners?
Barnon. Yeah.
Charlie Way?
Charlie Way. Yeah, we did have the old school fullbacks. It was good stuff. Chris, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. I live in VA. They're scared. I got you all. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Sivan, thank you again for a $2 holla. Boom, shakalaka. I appreciate it. Diego, our friend from Mexico. What's going on? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, my friend. Probably nice and warm down there. It's 14 where Jeremiah is, probably like 84 where Diego is. He says, I just saw a video of a Giants fan that said we should let Barkley and DJ go and draft Caleb Williams and Bijan Robinson. Some are just crazy. Well, Caleb's not coming out in the draft.
You can't draft him.
He's a true sophomore, so he's not eligible till next season's draft. He's not eligible to 2024's draft. Bijan Robinson, I don't know. He's the running back from Texas. He's really good, but I don't know what year he's in. I don't remember. But
it's not going to happen.
We couldn't draft Caleb Williams anyway. We'd have to pick number 1 overall.
And there's no way, in my opinion at least, Joe Shane's going to set up a roster after we win 8 or 9 games to basically intentionally lose to get a high-end draft pick next year. I just don't see it. Unless you start over at the quarterback position this year, then of course, and you start over, whatever. But I don't see them intentionally going out of their way to play horrible next year after they have an 8 or 9 win season, start building progress, start building up that locker room to then completely tank next year to get a top 3 or 4 pick intention. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I think what we're going to attempt to do is what the Eagles did. I think the Eagles last year surprised. They won 9 games. Nobody saw it coming. And then the Eagles got ultra aggressive this offseason, and they tried to take the next step. And, of course, it worked. Not to say that I think we're going to do what the Eagles have done in terms of 10-1 or whatever they are. But that's what I envision us doing this offseason. That's what I think we're going to do.
Yep. Savannah, thank you, my friend, again. I appreciate it. Really, really. Maybe bringing another Duke quarterback just to keep DJ. Savannah, you would absolutely be killing the Giants fan base. We've already dealt with Dave Brown. Everybody says Dave Brown is DJ. I don't think you want to do that. I don't even know who the Duke quarterback is. But can you imagine? Oh, the Giants fan base.
You know which quarterback prospect reminds me of DJ in terms of play style when I the kid from
Will Levis. Will Levis is just
kind
like
of the guy from Stanford. Have you seen him?
I have seen him.
I think his name is McKee.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Jones. Like he's 6'5".
Will Levis is Daniel Jones. Maybe a little, maybe it's a little better, maybe not.
He's 6'3". He's a little shorter, but yeah, I could see that. But I think it's McKee from Stanford. He kind of reminds me of Jones in terms of his play style.
Will Levis is Daniel Jones. Just Daniel Jones doesn't put mayonnaise in his coffee, so Daniel Jones is already ahead of Will Levis. Jeremiah said, "Yeah, that's right, Max Strong. Max Strong. There was some good ones. But listen, guys and girls, we're gonna get out of here. It's 12:20. I know Chris and I both got to work tomorrow, which absolutely sucks. I wish Chris and I could get up in the morning and just have our own radio show on WFAN.
That'd be great.
9 to 12. And you can wake up with Chris and the Bad Dog, and we could talk about everything, which would be great. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You never know.
You never know. But
are we going to beat the Eagles?
No. I hope I'm Christmas miracle. If there is a Christmas miracle in your satchel, God's in my corner over there, I would love to beat them. I would absolutely love to beat them. But as I said in Patty's show there on our last stream, it is the weirdest thing. I do not remember the last time that I went into a game where they played the Eagles. And I don't want to say that I don't want to win, because of course I do, but I don't care if we lose. Like, it's just weird because it just doesn't really matter. We have to beat Washington. Like, that is our season. So this game is it's like a cherry on the top of the sundae. This should be a cherry on the top of the sundae, like we talked about. But that game next week against Washington, that's the hot fudge, baby.
That's the whole Sunday.
That's the hot fudge. You want that.
The whole enchilada, the whole chimichanga, whatever you want to call it. That's it. That's all of it. That's the whole turkey dinner.
And that's the thing. Like Philly 500, like I want to bet. It's weird. Maybe it's because Philadelphia is really, 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 really freaking good. And I'm just like, I don't think we have a chance. But it didn't matter. Because even last year we played Philadelphia, I didn't think we had a chance to beat them. We did. And I was still hyped up for the game. I have like no juice for this. It's weird.
You know next week's the season. That's why.
Because when the hell have I ever had juice against Washington? Never. It doesn't happen.
Now you may have juice against the Eagles the last week, because there's a good chance that could mean something.
Correct.
But like I have juice. It's the Eagles, but
not like I normally do, though, man. I'm venomous to that team, and I just don't like
because you're looking ahead.
I'm like Washington.
That game is massive. That's the biggest guy. We said that this past week's Washington game was the biggest game they've had in 6 years, and that was true. And now this game is bigger than that one.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's a huge game.
And I was on pins and needles. I was legitimately nervous. Like, this game, I don't care. I'm not nervous about it. Washington, I'm going to be freaking nervous. Like, I was nervous. I've been nervous about a Giants game in 6 years because we haven't played a meaningful game in 6 years.
Yeah.
Finally, we're playing one. Will, thank you. Appreciate it. So let's say we take Philly's route. What wide receiver will we try to trade for? I think we should try for Jerry and Moore.
I think it means Jerry Jeudy, if I had to guess.
Yeah,
and DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
I mean, there's other options. I mean, I don't know who's going to be available, but
the other thing is you have to take into consideration the salary, because you have to take into consideration we have to get Philadelphia had Jalen Hurts, and they traded to get up picks. Insurance case he didn't pan out. He did.
Yeah.
So they had cap space to trade up for AJ Brown. They had extra draft capital. They had extra first round picks. They traded up. They took one. They got AJ Brown and gave him a lot of money.
Yeah.
Then they revamped it around. They got Saints first round pick. They know what they're doing.
Well,
I don't think we can trade for, if we were to trade for a receiver and it was like the 20th pick, I'd say to the Raiders, put too much money. But you want a guy like Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
I don't think Jerry Jeudy is AJ Brown.
No.
And I don't think DJ Moore is AJ Brown. If you're going to do that, you need an elite receiver.
You need Diggs.
Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
AJ Brown.
You need what the Bills did with Diggs. That's what you need. You need a difference maker. And who knows? Maybe there'll be one out there. Maybe there won't be. But I wouldn't be surprised if they went that route. But we'll see. You know, I some of the guys you mentioned are possibilities, but I think if they wanted Judy, they would have already had him. I think they would have got him at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
They obviously didn't feel like what they were asking for was worth it. Obviously, they wouldn't give up a first-round pick to get him.
No, gotcha. Chris, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you again. He says no to New York. And the tank was because Dog said I was fat a few years ago. You? Was it you? I was fat a few years ago, too. So all good, just fun. I'm 38 and I do my thing, but Dog has good tips. I did a lot of research to get the way I am. But yeah, I mean, I've showed this. Do I still have this up here? I probably do. Let me see where it is. Do I not have it there anymore? Oh, I do. Here you go. In case you guys didn't see me 5 years ago, you ready to, you can tell. All you got to do is look at my face. That was me 5 years ago. That's me.
That's
5 years. That's me at 235 pounds.
That's a transformation.
Okay. That's what I looked like at 235 pounds. Now I'm 165 pounds. There's a major difference. I never realized I was that heavy till I look back and go, oh my God. It was a massive freaking difference. But that's a lot of diet. Because I didn't work out any less hard. I still worked out the way I do, but my diet was garbage. Savannah, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. He says Kafka still realizes they have 4 running backs, including his running back 1 DJ. His brain just stuck with Barkley, and he can't get out of it in key situations. That's a good point. You do want to rely on Barkley, but I would like to see the other guys at least get a couple touches just to spare Barkley.
I agree. Well, we've been saying that now for weeks. Is we want to see Breida more involved in the offense.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see it this week. I mean, you kind of saw it last week. They started to use them a bit in the second half, which made you start to think, is Barkley wearing down a bit? But we'll see this week. And now Barkley's on the injury report.
Yep.
So I don't think he practiced today, which is not a good sign. But according to Renan, he expects him to play this week, but we'll see.
Yep. Chris, thank you again. You the man. He says, last thing, you deserve it, guys. Have fun. Good luck. I told you, Cowboys fans.
They love us this week.
This week, they love us. We're going to do our damnedest.
Last week. They're going to love us the last week, too.
Yeah, we're going to do our best.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best. Hopefully, it's good enough. I never thought in a million years I want to say I want to help out the Cowboys. I want to help the Cowboys this week, though. I'll tell you what, Chris, we'll do our best to beat them, but week 18, you got to beat Washington.
You got to help us out, Chris.
Deal?
That's the way it works.
Deal? Molly, thank you. If there was a wide receiver we would trade for, who would it be? We just answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw out a couple more names. Pittman is a name that I think is a possibility because I could see the Colts being in rebuild mode. Let me take a quick look at the standings in terms of teams that could be trading a wide receiver. But nobody on Buffalo, nobody on the Dolphins, nobody on the Jets, nobody on the Patriots. Their best wide receiver is a free agent. Nobody on the Ravens, Cincinnati. I mean, people brought up Higgins, but I don't know why they would trade him. Nobody on the Browns. They got Cooper. Steelers. Maybe a guy like Deontay Johnson. I don't know if he's a free agent or not. Nobody on the Titans. Pittman, I said, on the Colts. I don't see anybody in Jacksonville that they would trade because they have a young quarterback. Cooks is possible, but he's getting up there in age. I think he's 28, 29. I guess Brandon Cooks is possible. Nobody on the Chiefs. Nobody on the Chargers. Maybe Devontae Adams, like you said, but his contract's insane. Judy on the Broncos. Nobody on the Eagles. Nobody on the Cowboys. Nobody in our division. Nobody on the Vikings. Maybe Detroit with St. Brown, but if they're drafting a quarterback, they probably want that. They probably want the weapons. Nobody on the Packers. Nobody on the Bears. There's not a lot. I mean, the Bucks. The Bucks are an interesting one if they move on from Brady because then you have Evans and you got Godwin.
Yeah,
those are possibilities. Atlanta, I don't see them trading anybody there. Carolina's DJ Moore. Saints, nobody. Olave's their best receiver. They're not trading him. There's not, and maybe with Seattle, DK Metcalf. There's a couple of possibilities. There's a couple. Those are some names I'll throw out there. Couple names.
Steve says, I want to be cut at 230. I'm 5'9". Well, getting cut at 230 may not be in your genetics, man. It's all about genetics. Some guys look cut with 12 to 15% body fat. I don't. I literally have to be under 10% body fat to see the abs the way I want to see them. And again, that's just my head, but it's all about genetics. But Steve, follow me on Instagram. It's bad. You go to Instagram, I'm Bad Dog Sports. It's one word. You can see, I think the last picture I have of there is my macros for the week. It's my calories. And you can see they're all 1,600, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500. Saturday's like 4,400 because it's my cheat day. And then right back to like 1,600. But I do. Once in a while, I show things that I make for food there, or things I eat, things I do at the gym. Again, I don't overload it with that stuff. I put giant stuff in there, but a lot of my fitness stuff ends up on Instagram. So, I mean, I'm no expert. I just know I've researched a lot of stuff. I've worked out for a long time, and I finally got my diet on point. And I know a lot more than somebody that would just be beginning. So I always say, if I can inspire one person to lose weight, that makes me feel fantastic. It's what drives me to continue to stay at the level I'm at, because it gets hard. It gets hard. Waking up in the morning going, what am I doing this for?
Yeah. You have to stay motivated.
It's hard after 12 years and 46 years old.
Oh.
Chris, thank you again, man. He says, not that. You guys are great. Well, appreciate it. You still
appreciate it, Chris, man. Thank you, buddy.
To win, Chris. You don't want us to beat the Eagles? You don't want to win the division? Come on, baby. Yes,
we're going to try to help you out anyway, Chris.
Yes, we got you. Yeah, I'll get to the Instagram because I do have to confirm you guys following, because I just don't want a bunch of bots and spam and crap following me. But I will confirm anybody that requests me, But all right, guys, we're going to get out of here. It's 12:30 at night. Always appreciate you guys and girls being here. It's weird to say. Definitely want to get a W on Sunday, but it's weird to say that if they lose, it's not going to hurt my feelings if we lose.
It's going to take a lot of pressure off that Washington game if we do win, though. I'll say that, because it's still a lot of pressure, but it's you could still convince yourself if we lose that Washington game, if we beat the Eagles, that we can still make the playoffs.
Put it this way: we have nothing to lose, everything to gain by winning. Right?
I agree. That's what this game is this week. It's everything to gain, and it's still a huge game for guys like Daniel Jones.
Yeah, of course.
But from a playoff standpoint, it's the following week where all the pressure is.
We have nothing to lose, everything to gain. So we find a way to pull off this upset. We can make fun of Philly fans for the rest of the year till we play them again. For a couple weeks till we play them again. I'd love to beat them. But
I'm excited. I'm really excited for these final 5 games. And Bad Dog, as long as we win 1 out of the next 4, there's at least going to be a mathematical possibility, I think, going into the last week that we have a chance.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be an exciting last 5 weeks. And we'll see where we stand at the end of the year. And if we get a playoff game, I'm excited.
All right. So am I.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We got to get some sleep.
Yes, we do.
We'll see you guys on Sunday, hopefully with the Giants win over the Eagles. And Bad Dog, thanks for having me on.
All right. Absolutely, Chris. Doubleheader's over tonight. So enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, whatever. Tomorrow's Friday. Weekend's here. Thank God. And we will see you Sunday. The Entertaining Talk Sports. Bad Diggy Dizzle. We gone. Peace.